Okay, we're live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so excited. First of all, I'm super excited because we just became a best-selling book. Whoop, whoop. The Fearless Entrepreneurs, Fear Less, Be More. My name is Linda Sunshine West with Women Action Takers Publishing. And, we published this book we published it a week ago, but launched it officially today, this morning at 5:30 a.m. Pacific time. And within the first 3 hours, it became a best-selling book. And now we're at number 10. So what I'm looking forward for us to move into that number one spot. We got to pass up a Jeff Bezos book. Can we do that? Yes, we can do it. I know we can do it. But today I'm going to be spending the next 4 hours with many of the authors in the book, and they're going to be sharing a little bit of their entrepreneurial journey with you. And I just would love for each of you to I'm going to have you all introduce yourselves, sharing your entrepreneurial journey. We got to keep it short because we got about 30 minutes before the next authors start coming in. But we have some background noise, so if you're not speaking, if you could mute yourself, that would be awesome. But share with us your entrepreneurial journey, as well as like what made you decide to get into this book. And so I'm going to start as I see you on my screen. So Andy Nam, you're up. Please go and introduce yourself and share with us, like, what was it that made you compelled to join the Fearless Entrepreneurs?
Hi, well, my name is Andy Nam. I'm a co-founder of Focal Academy, and I'm a functional nutritionist. And what got me to join the Fearless Entrepreneurs is I just wanted to tell my story that when your body has what it needs, it doesn't matter what your doctors say, what your specialists say, that you can actually heal yourself. So don't give up on yourself. And I just want to inspire others that may be struggling with chronic disorders that life isn't over. There's a lot to move on, and there's a lot to learn that your body can actually heal itself.
Awesome, Andy. I love that. Now, the title of your chapter is The Crushing Blow That Saved My Life. And so you want to share a little bit about that story there, because we've created videos for actually everybody who's here right now. You all have videos. We're still creating videos for the rest of the authors. But your video is just like really moving. And I, just moved to tears as, watching your video. I didn't create it, so I can say that, it's like my VAs created it, but it's such a moving story. So why don't you share that, what was that crushing blow that saved your life?
Perfect. Yeah. So the crushing blow that saved my life was back in high school, my graduating year. I was actually driving to visit my then girlfriend, and driving through an intersection, I was just crushed. I was hit by a 4 ton, like a 1 ton truck, like those big U-Haul trucks on my driver's side. And basically, that particular accident, it fractured my spine. It bent my back. It caused all sorts of internal injuries. And luckily, I was young, but when I went looking at specialists over the years, in my 20s and my 30s, they told me that my body's going to degenerate down to someone that's going to be like in their 70s by the time I'm 30. And sure enough, it was true. I was on drugs, I was on medication, I was on so much pain medication, I can barely walk. I was cranky all the time. I had all these digestive issues. And it came to the point that, my doctors and specialists said, you just got to live with it. This is your life. It's 40, in my 40s at that time, early 40s, and you're going to have to be like this for the rest of your life. And I just didn't accept it. I just started doing digging on my own, talking to other specialists, scientists, not doctors, as to why, how to heal your own body. And that started on my journey to become a functional nutritionist. And I eventually healed myself. And now, I want to share what I learned over the last 10 years to help others.
That's awesome. I love how you did that because, a lot of times we turn our pain into our passion, and we want to, share with other people how they can come through what it was that we came through. And so you're doing that exactly. And that's amazing. Now I know that you have a gift for people. You want to share with it, what do you give? I know you're giving away something, or what are you doing today?
Yes, so I'm giving away a free PDF. It's 10 ways on how to boost your health and live longer. It's to boost your longevity, stay young, and live longer. So we have 10 ways to do that. And on top of that, as an extra bonus, if you sign up for the PDF, I'm also going to be giving a free 30-minute coaching call to go over those whatever's on the PDF, whatever questions you may have, and whatever health concerns you may be having challenges with. Maybe we can work together and get you where you want to be.
Fantastic. I was having a problem behind the scenes here, so good stuff. There's things that happen behind the scenes you guys don't know that are happening. But Andy, that's fantastic. How can they cash in on that?
They can go to we're going to have the website later on posted on LinkedIn and everything on here. Hopefully, but it's going to be Foco Academy, FOCO Academy, ACADEMY.com /fearless entrepreneurs.
Foco Academy wait, what was it? Foco Academy
.com
.com.
/fearless entrepreneurs.
Fearless entrepreneurs. Okay, awesome. I love it. Well, thank you so much for being here and being part of this project. Sharing Fearless Entrepreneurs looks weird when you spell it together. I never really noticed that. But thank you for being part of this project. This is just an amazing compilation of stories that are these entrepreneurs that have experienced different things in their lives, and they had to go through these challenges, and then it's got them to where they are today. Andy, thanks for being part of that. So go to focoacademy.com /fearless entrepreneurs to go ahead and get Andy's gift for you today. So next up, we're going to move on to David Smith. You want to go and unmute yourself and share with us your entrepreneurial journey. And your chapter is called Nobody Wants to Spend Their Golden Years Working at the Golden Arches. I got to say, when I heard you say that, I was like, okay, this is hilarious. We got to make sure we include that as a chapter title, right? So go ahead and
Yes.
share with us your entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah, thanks so much for being here. I'm so excited. And I have been doing side hustles before the word side hustle was a thing. If there's any number of ways that you can make money, I've probably tried it. And one of the things that I was most successful at was selling on eBay and Amazon. But that didn't come right away. I was in a company called Dropship Domination, and we were selling on eBay. And the guy that started the program and was teaching us how to do that had a webinar one night. And he said, I can teach you how to make money. And this guy had the Midas touch. He could literally make money doing literally six figures doing anything. And he said, I can teach you how to make money, but most of you guys are going to screw it up because of what's up here. And he introduced us to the concept of neuroplasticity and how to program your mind for success. And so I dove into that and met one of the leaders in the thought leaders in this movement, went through his coaching certification program. And it's amazing because that was the key, was changing. See, I grew up very lower middle class. And even though I was driven to succeed, I had a lot of programming that was lower middle class that was holding me back. And when I started doing a very simple step of simply changing the inputs that I was getting about success, about money, about self-esteem, suddenly I was started selling 5 figures a month on Amazon, for example. Became a certified life coach. Now I'm a certified business coach, so I call myself a life coach for entrepreneurs because my experience was, I know the business strategies and I can help you with that. But for me, it wasn't about business strategy. I had to grow. I had to make changes to me. And so I'm a life coach for entrepreneurs to help them make the changes. And a lot of times, a person cannot grow their business bigger than they grow themselves.
A person cannot grow their business bigger than they can grow themselves. That's so good. I love that. And is your title of your chapter, though, Nobody Wants to Spend Their Golden Years at the Golden Arches, working at the Golden Arches. How did you come up with that title? Because I just love it.
Well, and here in America, I know people can buy the book all over. But here in the U.S., 75% of people live paycheck to paycheck. Half the people over 50 do not have $10,000 saved for retirement. So most people do end up working a job after they spent their whole life working a job, but that was never anybody's dream. My dad has experienced that. He's 75 and still works at Walmart. And so my dream and my goal was to not have to work a job after I retired. And I wanted to carry that on to other people, help other people. My passion is helping other people start businesses and succeed at businesses so that they don't have to work after they retire. Maybe you can retire early, maybe not. Maybe you've got a retirement. You might only need $1,000 a month to keep you from having to go work at McDonald's after you're 65. And that's my passion, is to help people do that. And so that's where that came from. I've seen it happen, and I didn't want it to happen to me. And then I wanted to help other people, not let it happen to them.
Well, thank you for what you do, because that is, it's even just like that little bit of awareness that, getting people to understand that it doesn't really take a whole lot to be able to actually retire without having to work at those golden arches. So thank you for what you do. We're going to come back to you in just a bit. So next we have Bhakti. Bhakti, his title is Ascension Beyond Meditation. I don't even know if I say that word right, because I feel like I'm saying it wrong, but is that it? Ascension.
Yes, that's true.
And you want to explain that a little bit for us?
Sure. Essentially, the way we're talking about it is rising above those self-limiting beliefs and behaviors that we've accumulated that David talked about. And the simple way we do that is a practice that takes us inward. In other words, if we retrain our attention to go inward and rediscover the, who we truly are, which resides within each of us, then we simply fulfill a collective potential, which is beyond belief. I mean, it's that still silent place within. That's who we really are, our unborn self. It's never gone anywhere. It never will go anywhere. It's always there, waiting. And
Now
when
that's
we touch,
interesting. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
oh, go ahead. Question.
I was going to say it's interesting because I use ascension beyond meditation, and I know many times I found myself hard to slow down, right? Enough to go inside, and that just finding that place of the silence sometimes is deafening, right? So going into that place of meditation to go deep inside and to figure these things out. What got you on that path to do that?
Well, when I was 28, I didn't know what to do because I'd been married and divorced twice, had a son I couldn't support, had been fired from every job I ever had. My transition to civilian life from being a combat soldier in Vietnam was horrible. And, you know, long story short, I found meditation. They said to do it every day. I did it twice a day. Things changed. Life was different. And fast forward 20 years, I'm president and CEO of a locally based national company in Minneapolis. And, I had all the boxes checked on living the American dream, but I just knew there had to be more to life than what I was experiencing. And ran into this monk, and everything's different because it's an effective practice. That's why I say it's beyond meditation. In other words, you circumvent all the mental constructs of the mind, just sit and rest in that still silent place within. And from there, everything happens. The mind stills. And to a mind that is still, the whole universe surrenders. From there, you just begin, act as if it were so, and the future is created for you. There's no efforting. It's simple.
When the mind is still, the universe
Surrenders.
surrenders.
Right. To a mind that is still, the universe
To a mind that
surrenders.
is okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, that's good. I love that. I love that. Now, there was something you mentioned about, I was living the American dream. So I want to ask, in your opinion, is the American dream wrong?
No, I mean, it. We're in this world, but not of this world. The American dream in this world is to have all the stuff, which is beautiful. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I mean, I live in a very nice place and I have a beautiful life, materially. And that's great. That's wonderful. But I found there's so much more to it than that. one can experience everything. Not just, I mean, when I look in somebody's eyes and see who they are, they're no different than I, because we're all one. And experiencing that oneness that we already are is everything. There's no difference between the energy in the trees and the energy in my heart and in this body. I mean, we all have a body, but we're not a body. The body's objective to who we are. We're in this world, but not of this world. And bringing that and marrying those is everything. And I'm with the Bright Path. There's about 700 of us teachers globally. And it's a beautiful path.
Why don't you share with us how we can get in contact with you? And then I'll come back to you, David, because I forgot to ask you that question. So how can people get in contact with you, Bhakti?
Yeah, just thebrightpath.com or Bhakti for Ashaya, the digit 4, at gmail.com.
Okay, cool. And he'll drop that contact information inside the comments, underneath this video here. So you'll drop that whenever you're ready to do that, Bhakti. But thank you so much for that and for being, part of this compilation, giving me different insight, into the way I think. And that's one thing that I think is valuable is that, when people mention things to us, it helps us, if we have an open mind, it helps us to see things from a different perspective. So this is definitely a different perspective than I have been accustomed to. So I want to thank you for opening my mind to this. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So next up we have Kohila. Let me see, I'm going to bring you up here. Kohila, go ahead and share with us, as far as the book goes, your chapter is titled Fearless Learning. Everything is solvable. So how did the chapter title come about, and what does it mean?
Thank you for having me, Linda, and everyone else. So the title came about because I'm a ex-math teacher and a tutor, and when I was young, I didn't understand math, and I was struggling with life as well as math. So during that time, I started spending more time with math, and I found math to help me through that period of life, and I hacked math. So I have this relationship with math. It's more of a therapeutic relationship with math. So that's where the title comes from. Everything is solvable. After believing in myself and, passing that period of time when I was young, I was able to feel that if I spend time with problems, I could find the solution. So it was a matter of me not, spending the time. So from then on, I went on to becoming a teacher and a tutor. And during that time, I found that I wasn't able to give what I wanted to teach and give my students in the classroom. It was in the environment that was right for me or for my students. So I continued to struggle with that, and I developed a formula called Math Codes Method, which is a merge of using math as a vehicle to teach students to believe in themselves and spend more time with their problems and solve. So it's a coaching program that I've developed over 22 years. So that was the reason why I decided to be part of this book, is because now we offer that coaching certification to other teachers and tutors along with my husband. So I think if you spend time with anything, even like when I became a teacher, I thought I could deliver what I wanted in the classroom. I couldn't, so I needed to spend more time and started figuring out how I can give, and decided that I would, create a way of connecting with students in a deeper, more holistic way. So that's what Math Code System is all about, and method is all about. So we are now certifying teachers and tutors in that method. And the more importantly, why I decided to write this chapter is that we always have our, all of these deep-rooted reasons why we do our business or we decide to become an entrepreneur, but we don't usually share those. We kind of hide them, or we don't share them we just become this business person. So through this book, I was able to share a lot of things that I have never shared with the world. So thank you, Linda, for encouraging me to, do that and put the book out and the chapter out for, just to become aligned as one person. And I am the entrepreneur. I am the Math Codes creator, just making that all one unified. it made a very, very special meaning for me today to see that book being number one or the bestseller.
Yes, almost none. It will be none. You just spoke it into existence. Number one, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
you're welcome and thank you. And what I loved about, with your chapter especially was because you mentioned how when you were young, it was hard. Math was really, really hard for you, but you just kept doing and you kept at it and kept it. And that's why it's like everything is solvable, but it's just a matter. Sometimes it takes a lot of perseverance. It takes more perseverance than other times. For some people, things are more difficult than other things, right? And so you did that. You did exactly that, like going through it and just finding out what works for you to make you get that result that you were looking for. So when you when you were young, did you ever imagine that you would have a company or a business that was going to be teaching this? And then now you teaching other teachers? I mean, this is just so fantastic. Did you ever in your wildest dreams think it would come to this?
No, there was, it only, I think, I knew that because I decided to end my life during that period of time because I didn't want to be on this earth anymore. So after surviving that, I know that there's a reason why I'm here. So I think after that, I knew I had to share what I discovered and developed over the time. And, it's just not right to keep what helped you. Like, you have to share with others and help them. There's so many kids and teachers right now, especially struggling with, how to teach, how to work, and all of that thing. So I don't think I had that in my mind. But when I got to the point where I knew I had something to share, I knew I wanted to share it.
Oh, that's so fantastic. And congratulations for moving into that space, right? And being able to help so many people. So how can people get in contact with you, Kohila?
Yes. If you're a teacher or tutor, trying to become an entrepreneur, you can check out mathcodes.com/coaching. And if you're a parent looking for a unique program to help your child, you can check out mathcodes.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I'm going to come back to David. So David, first of all, let's go into how people can connect with you. And then I wanted you to, touch briefly on your podcast, like how it came about, and then, how we can find that. David?
Yep. Yeah, actually, my calendar is tied to my podcast. So if if you're an entrepreneur and you feel stuck, want to know what the next step is, I'm giving away 15-minute coaching calls right now. My calendar is at davidsmithspeaks.com/calendar. So that's for existing entrepreneurs that want a quantum leap, or people who want to become entrepreneurs. You don't want to work for McDonald's when you don't want to work for the Golden Arches during your golden years. They have free coaching calls for you as well. That's davidsmithspeaks.com/calendar. And yeah, my podcast is called From Debt to Wealth to Impact. And again, that ties back to the idea of everybody working paycheck to paycheck. They have more debt than they have retirement. And people want to make an impact on the world. To some degree, people do want to make an impact. They want to be significant. And so that's what I talk about on the podcast is using a business to get out of debt. And see, that's a mistake I made early on in my entrepreneurial journey, is I thought that I had to have a business to replace my job, where you can just have a business that helps you get out of debt. You can have a business that helps you save more for retirement, and then you can have a business that supplements your retirement. And then through all of that, you'll be able to make an impact. And so, if you can start a business that you can quit your job, thumbs up, awesome. But if all you accomplish is starting a business that just gets you out of debt and keeps you from having to work past age 60, awesome. And so that's davidsmithspeaks.com/calendar. And, one thought I had, I know we're trying to wrap up, I had a thought today about, Napoleon Hill said, thoughts are things. And I got involved with this book from the very beginning, and it's been a journey. But Linda, you had the thought for the concept for this book. The authors had thoughts about what their chapters were going to be. And all these thoughts became a thing. It's now a physical book in the universe. It's on Kindle. It can be printed out as a paperback. People are buying it, and people will be impacted by it. The profits are going to a charity that are going to help kids become entrepreneurs. So, you know, it all started with thoughts. I've never seen uh, Think and Grow Rich play out so dramatically in my own life as to see a group of thoughts become a physical thing in the universe that's now a best-selling book. It's just been mind-blowing to me today.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that, David. I love it. And that was davidspeaks.com.
David davidsmithspeaks.com
David,
slash calendar. And that's
David
also,
Smith Speaks.
yeah, and davidsmithspeaks.com is actually the easiest way to find my podcast as well.
Awesome. Go over there, subscribe to his podcast, connect with David. Absolutely amazing. I love it. I love it. So I'm going to come back to Bhakti. Bhakti, I would just have this question. Like, what would you say during your entrepreneurial journey has been like one of the biggest challenges that you've had that you've overcome?
One of my biggest challenges, interesting. There's been a few of them. I think being satisfied with what I had, and in myself knowing that there was more, and taking that step to find more, and because when I connect with who I truly am, it's true contentment. I mean, it's just contentment, pure joy. The bright path is the path of joy.
That's awesome. Yeah, that contentment, right? Knowing who you are, what you're all about, and for some people it happens younger, and some people it happens older, and for some people it never happens. And it's just like I think to have that place in your life that you are at that place, to have that pure joy, that pure contentment of who you are, what you're all about, and then serving your purpose while you're here on this planet. I mean, to me, there's nothing like that. You have something you want to add, Bhakti?
Yeah, having an intellectual understanding of that is one thing. Having a direct experience is everything.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, because I know it's interesting because I know that on my entrepreneurial journey, there have been many things that have come up that I've been like, I need to think about that. Like there's some things that for me, I have to actually formulate it in my head. Not everything, but there's some things that like that's where I have to go there. And so I go there,
Yeah.
and I feel into most things, but some things I gotta like process it in my head.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of interesting. Yeah. And I love what you said there. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Now, Bhakti, so what do you have to give away today? Do you have a giveaway or what do you got going on?
Well, I mean, if people get a hold of me on my email address, which is posted, I do have some free Zoom calls. And during those calls, we do a very simple awareness exercise, which nobody can do wrong.
That's
That
good.
really can change things.
Okay, fantastic. And so we'll make sure that that's in the comments right there on LinkedIn and on YouTube as well. Well, thanks so much, Bhakti, for being here, for being part of this compilation book and sharing your story with the world and making a greater impact. So next we're going to go to
I
Andy.
appreciate you, Linda.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for being here. So next we're going to we're going to wrap it up with Andy. Andy, you want to share with us, a little bit about your journey as far as, getting into that entrepreneurship lifestyle, because being an employee is completely different than an entrepreneur. And I truly believe that all entrepreneurs are fearless because we do something that a lot of people won't do because they're too scared, right? So we actually do it. We step into that place of that. We break through that fears, whatever the fears that whatever we have, and we go ahead and do what it is that we want to do. So I want to hear just a little bit about your journey of that moving into that entrepreneurship. Did you have any fears about it? And if you did, how did you break through those? And if you didn't have any fears about that, did you have any other fears like after you got on to the journey itself?
Yeah, it's funny. I got into entrepreneurship when I was actually 21. I started my first business when I was 21. I think one of the first things that you need to do if you're going to be an entrepreneur is to really love what you do, right? And from that love what you do, everything will fall in place, you learn to be the best at what you are, and you share at what you're best at what you are. And what I started, that I love first, I was in the car business, which deteriorated my body more, which drove me into where I am now in the health space, which is a completely different industry. And once again, I faced some fear there, but it's where my life was putting me in that path. I needed more help. I needed to help the people around me, like my family. I was becoming someone I did not like being, and I basically gave up an industry that I had experienced for over 20 years and started all over in the health industry and learned to be the best I can be in that industry now.
Congratulations on that, doing that great work and dropping Gimme 20. Just kidding. I've been waiting to say that. I was like, I'm going to just tell him
Love
to
it.
drop and Gimme 20. Yeah. But congratulations on that, to come up from a place of, having that kind of pain. Fortunately, I haven't experienced. Oh, my dogs thought I was knocking on the door. Somebody's knocking on the door. I haven't experienced that, kind of pain myself, and so I'm fortunate in that aspect. But I do know that there's a lot of times that pain, that pain that we're experiencing, will move us into that place where we help other people once we come through it. So thank you everybody so much for what you're doing. In this book, The Fearless Entrepreneurs, where they share their stories of adversity, things that they have gone through in their lives and how they came through on the other side. Go to thefearlessentrepreneurs.com, get your copy of it. Thefearlessentrepreneurs.com. We have it both on Kindle as well as the print copy. So go there, get your copy today. We're at number 10 right now in entrepreneurship, which is super exciting for me because, climbing the ladder sometimes in that, best-selling book world is hard, especially the categories that we have for our book here. So it's super exciting. We're shooting for that number 1. So if you want to help us get that, please spend 99 cents. Get your Kindle version and help us to move into that place of number 1 best-selling author. But I want to congratulate you all, for being a best-selling author in The Fearless Entrepreneurs, Fear Less, Be More. And thank you for being here today. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move to our next group of guests, and everybody just, connect with these people. They're absolutely incredible people who are making a positive impact on the planet. So thanks everybody for being here. And I'm going to bring up our next
Thank
people.
you.
So give me a second while I get this figured out
Thank
here.
you, Linda.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Love you all.
Love you too. Thank you, Bhakti. Let's see. Here we go. We're doing it. Cool. Oops. Okay, there. I'm alone. Okay. I'm alone. Awesome. I just love these people so much. They're amazing, really truly making a positive impact on this planet, making it a better place for, us, our future, your children. And, if that's what it's all about. I just think the thing about entrepreneurship is, entrepreneurs, they come from the heart. There's some problem that's out there, and they're like, instead of complaining about it, I got a solution. And then they go out there and they make it happen. That's what's so amazing. If you think about it, every single thing I have in front of me here, I have this water bottle. I have this little thing. I don't even know what it's called. It's a little fingernail thingy. But every single thing was thought up by somebody. And then those who decide to do something with it are the ones who are making an impact on this planet. And that's what entrepreneurship is all about. It's all about finding a problem and then finding a solution to that problem. So that's what we're doing here today. I'm going to bring onto the stage my next 2 guests. We have Missy Holder and we have Mary Elizabeth Jackson. Hello, ladies. It's good to see you. It's good to see you today. How are you?
Hi, how are you? Hi, Missy. We haven't met before. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great. How are you doing?
Good, doing good. And Linda's just burning it up today. I tell you what.
We are. We are
Yes.
burning it up. And so first of all, I want to share. Okay, so the Women Action Takers is on YouTube. Please go ahead and subscribe to that channel. Go to youtube.com/Women Action Takers. We're over there. Subscribe to us. I got about 375 subscribers. I'm looking for that 1,000. I have these goals that I set for myself all the time, and I don't always attain them fast, but I just keep moving forward. And I think that's really what Kohila was talking about earlier when she was talking about everything is solvable. Her chapter is about everything is solvable. And so really it's a matter of like having that fortitude and that that attitude of like, I'm just going to keep going until I get it, you know? And so that's one thing I love about the ladies that I have on the stage here right now is that, you know, they have that, you know, stick to itiveness, right? That like, I'm just going to keep going, you know, yeah, I might have some setbacks along the way, but I'm going to come out stronger in the end. And so that's what these two ladies here, you know, Missy and Mary Elizabeth Jackson. I love you two ladies so much, and just love what you're all about and who you are, and showing up in my life, you know, a time that I needed you and you needed me. And so we are a family.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
like,
There's a song
Is
right
that
there, Linda.
Barney? Is that the Barney song?
Yeah, I think so. It's partly, but you know, you do Barney. It'll be Linda Sunshine 2.0. So
There we go.
yeah.
Well, let's start with you, Mary. I want to bring your
Okay.
here up on the screen. We have your chapter is called "Follow Your Creative Heart," and
Yes,
so
ma'am.
in this book, the Fearless Entrepreneurs. Well, first of all, a shout out again. We made it. We're number 10 right now. We're
That's
on our
so
way to the
exciting.
#1 chart for the Fearless Entrepreneurs. And you know, please go to thefearlessentrepreneurs.com and get your copy so we can become #1. You know, best-selling book. Best-selling is awesome, but I want that #1. You know, like
Yeah.
we're #1. We're number.
Yeah.
So
Right.
your chapter, follow your creative heart. Oh, I spelled it wrong. I'm going to go fix that right now. Okay, so
Okay.
follow your creative heart, and tell us like what does that mean, and you know why is that the title of your chapter?
Well, it's a good question. So I would say that my journey has been it's been pushed along by the creative flow that's inside of us, that part of you that wants to be creative, that wants to make something or create something that you can sell, that you can touch people's lives, that you can make someone else happy. And I think that just it thrives inside each of us. Now, whether we listen to it or not is another story in it and of itself. And that could be a whole nother book, couldn't it? So I've called it this because as my journey was happening in my life, every time I was doing something, it was out of being creative and having this drive inside of me, pushing me forward to do something that would feed this, whatever this was inside me that just needed to have expression. I guess that's a good way to put it. And I chose to call it that because that's been such a part of everything that I've done as an entrepreneur, even creating books, creating stories. You know, that is being creative when you come up with a story and you write a song, or, you know, you create a show, or you, create a class for somebody to take, or a journal writing, or any of those things are creative. They're all creative, you know, but think about cooks, bakers, gardeners, people like that are creative as well. When you design buildings, you know, you're being creative, even if you don't think that you are. That's actually being extremely creative, and from my viewpoint and my experience as well. But I think that when we don't listen to that part of us that's needing to be expressed in this world, we're really shutting down and doing ourselves a disservice. And it's almost like part of caretaking. So listening to that part of you that needs to express itself in a very healthy and logical, creative way. Sometimes you can do things that are not logical, but it just makes you feel better to throw paint on the wall or something, you know, but you're being creative. Like an 8-year-old would do, because I get to do those kind of things with my son a lot. But I, you know, started very young. I watched my grandfather, who had a brilliant mind. He didn't go past a fourth grade education and yet had a genius IQ. It was the time period that he grew up in. But I watched him create beautiful pieces of jewelry for women in the park where they lived, in the retirement community. And I was doing this in high school, and I was doing it in college for friends, and didn't even realize what I was doing. I was just trying to make something beautiful, and it allowed me to be creative. And then when I was, I guess, I'm trying to think, it was after my first child was born in my 30s, I had this nudging again to do some things that were creative. And so I ended up creating a gourmet candy business and didn't have a clue what I was doing. I just knew that I had to do something, and my something wanted to do something. So I created these candies, and I, put them in these gorgeous boxes, and I drove up and down from town to town where I live with my 9-month-old in the back seat and went into businesses and sold. And so it took off for a long time, actually. And I write about that in the book, about how my husband would come home and there'd be stickers, there'd be orders taped all over the kitchen cabinets. And he's like, what are you doing? Why are you, can we have our kitchen back? And so it was really a wonderful thing to do, and a great way to for me to express myself. And then after my second daughter was born, I did jewelry. I had a jewelry business. I had a partner, and we did that for about 5 or 6 years. And we sold to stores all around. We had lots of private customers. And I love the creative part of that. Actually, designing was my favorite part. Actually, the beadwork was not my favorite. Just looking at a bunch of beads and seeing those designs come and bringing them to life was very exciting and satisfying for me. And that may not be a big deal to someone else, but what's important is how you feel about what you're doing in the moment, and making beautiful pieces of jewelry and creative pieces of jewelry for people. I did a lot of stuff with a bridal shop. So we would design specific pieces for a bride. And that was a lot of fun. And I learned a lot about being in business with someone, how you have to be very careful. But I just took those things, and I've learned along the way. And, I am now a published author. I wanted to be one, but it was on my to-do list. Not like it's going to ever happen, but it did happen, and it's my life. And I am so grateful for it. But I never gave up, even though the things I did along the way didn't last. I had to keep going until I found what my thing was. What works with me? What do I excel at? What am I good at? Where can I put my passions into place? And that's what's happened with becoming a published author and an advocate for special needs and a live streamer. So it's kind of, they all work together. And I think it just takes a while sometimes for us to really find where we belong in our entrepreneurial journey.
That's for sure. I know it's interesting because people around you might be like, are you ever gonna make any money?
Yeah, I know.
Like when is this thing gonna happen? When are you gonna be rich? When are you gonna, like, all these different things that set doubt into our mind? And for some people it takes longer than others. For me, it was about six to 6.5 years. And
Yeah.
but I just like never give up, because I have, that's when I think you have that burning desire. Napoleon Hill talks about desire in Think and Grow Rich, and having that burning desire. This is one thing I like to say, like to parents, because you have a couple kids. Is to parents, is that there's something that your kid is doing that you can see that they're passionate about, because when you tell them to stop, like, they don't want to stop. They do not want to quit because they're so passionate about it. And I think what happens oftentimes is, you do to, whether it's school or parents' own beliefs, is that then the kids are told, like, you got to do this and that and all these other things too, but you're taking them away from their passion. And so, like, thinking back, to my life, because you had that, creative mind, creative heart when you were younger. And then if you were able to tap into that more, who knows what would have come of it, but we're steered this way and that way and told we need to do things this way. And I remember, I'm not going to mention that. I'll just leave a cliffhanger right there. But some of the things that from my day, I was, I'll give an example. And talking about school right now is because in school we're told we got to take this class, that class, this. You have to pass all these different classes in order to go to the next level. And talk about stress. I mean, like for me, geography, I was horrible at it, and I was horrible at history, and I was even worse at geometry, and so there were these things that I was so bad at, and I was so stressed because my parents wanted me to get good grades, and I would just stress over these things that I absolutely just didn't like doing. That's why I was horrible at them, because I didn't like them. I wanted to play. I'm a musician, I am a creative person. And then what that did is, it kind of, for me, it kind of stuck me in a box of that lack of creativity because I believed that that was what I was supposed to be doing. So I went down the path of what I thought I was supposed to do instead of the path of where my heart was taking me. So it
Right.
took till over 51 years old for me to get back on that right path. So I just find it, I love how you said it, follow your creative heart because if you have we all have creativity inside of us, but maybe it's being masked by something from beliefs of others. And then if you can tap into that yourself, and as parents, like I don't say I wish I knew back then what I know now, but you know, if I knew what I know today, I would have raised my children completely differently. It's kind
I
of interesting.
know. It's so
Yeah.
hard, isn't it? And I really have taken my children, and I have had them, okay, what, you're feeling this or you're going through this or whatever is going on with you. I want you to write it out, dance it out, sing it out, draw it out. I don't care. Pick your, or run, whatever it is you want to do, pick your choice so that it's a safe place for them to channel whatever's going on for them. And then they're able to express and feel what they feel. And that helps them to connect those dots to go, okay, so wow, okay, that really felt overwhelming 5 minutes ago. Now it's here on paper, or I've sweated it out, or whatever. I've done something physical to kind of get me to get all of that off of me or out of me. Now I can kind of talk about what I'm feeling and I can process it. So I think that if we do that for our children, that allows them to not have to punch holes in the wall and scream, I hate you. And, we have to have, we're sitting in a corner in our bedroom because kids' emotions, no matter what, no matter if you have a good, healthy funnel channel for them, they're still going to be up and down all over the place. But if we can provide something that's a healthy outlet for them, it really serves such a great purpose for kids, whether they do anything creatively in their life as a profession. And maybe it's just a hobby. And then they go on and they become, they're still a doctor or a lawyer or a teacher or whatever it is. And all of those are creative also. I mean, it all is, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's I love that how you have that, like that's a solution, right? So if there's
Yeah.
the kids going through a meltdown or whatever, is to instead of like, okay, time out, go get in your timeout, go get in your corner, that could be stressful for some kids. For some kids, that might not be stressful. And so like really what we're doing is causing undue stress. So let's not go into there. Let's let's
That's a whole nother show,
yeah,
right?
I know. Oh my gosh, that's like 3 or 4 different shows, like
Yeah.
totally, right? So I want to move to Missy. Thank you so much, Mary Elizabeth, for being in this book and for sharing your story in it and your brilliance. And I would just want to thank you for being, like I said, being in my life and being part of
Oh,
this,
and I love
especially.
you. I
Oh,
love you.
thank
You
you.
know that. You know how I introduce you to people, the
I
trailblazer,
know.
rock star.
I know. I love it. Just keep doing it. Keep
All
doing it.
right, girl, I will.
Okay, so next up we have Missy. Missy, welcome. I'm so excited for you. Your chapter, How I Kicked Fear and Worry Out of the Driver's Seat of My Life. So let's hear it. I want to hear your story, about your experience of like what was that fear that you were going on that was
Sure.
driving your car, Let's hear it.
Sure. So, unlike Mary Elizabeth, my entrepreneurial journey was born out of pain and less of born out of passion. So, back in 2006, my husband was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia and was at the time given about a 25% chance of disease-free survival rate, which is basically meaning that for 5 years he would be cancer-free. I'll just cut to the chase. It's been 15 years and he's fine. But anyway, that started a 3-year journey of like his treatments, etc. At the time, we had 3 children. They were 7 months old, 6 and 8 years old. So our kids were young. He was the main breadwinner. And literally it felt like our foundation had been completely rocked. So I prior to that had always allowed fear and worry to kind of dictate all of my emotions, and it dictated what I did or didn't do in my life. I always stayed in my comfort zone, and when that happened, I literally could not carry the burden of that worry. It was just simply too big for me, and I released it. I don't know how else to say it, but I just couldn't carry it, so I released it and I released control of it and did not worry about it. And I discovered that was incredibly freeing for me to not have that worry anymore. And so through that process, I learned that instead of allowing worry and fear to dictate my life decisions, I was going to allow purpose and intention to become the drivers of my life, of my life's car, so to speak, on this journey. So that's a little bit about what happened. You know, I said I wanted to live my life with purpose and intention, and that meant throughout the, 10, 15 years since then, I basically was sold out for my family. I mean, that was my purpose and my intention was I was there for them, and they, that's what was my life's purpose, my God's given work on this earth. So, but now that my kids are getting older and they require less time of me, I found myself at this crossroads again of like, now what? And I've decided I'm an entrepreneur now. I'm going to help other women to discover their purpose and passion and live their life with intention so that they can fulfill who they are meant to be. So that's a little bit about my story and how I came to become, I'm an entrepreneur. I am a growth coach, and I help, like I said, women discover their purpose and passion so that they can live their life with intention and chase their dreams and crush those goals.
Crush them, crush those goals.
Crush those goals.
That's right. I love it. There was something you said. You said released control and didn't worry anymore. So what was that process? Like, how did you, did you just all of a sudden one day say, I'm going to stop worrying? Or was it a process that you took? Was that it?
Literally. I think it was just the facade of control, which we don't have control, literally is a facade of control. I think when that happened, it just made me realize I don't have control anyway. I never did. And so it's a waste of time to worry because it doesn't make a difference. So it literally was like a shift, a mindset shift, like a switch was flipped, literally overnight. I think my mom would always say that the innocence was stripped from me. My innocence of life, or I would say my naivety was stripped from me. I became aware that life is fragile. I don't control life, so that's what happened to me.
Wow. Well, good thing. Fortunately, your husband, everything's okay now. It's been years. You said 15 years now.
15 years.
Yeah. So that's so beautiful. Not everybody makes it. And so, more power to him, the family, everything you guys did to make it happen. So congratulations on that.
Thank
you. Definitely. So I want to talk about, the fearless entrepreneurs. Here, this is what we're talking about today. The fearless entrepreneurs, fearless, be more. The book it's the top 10 now. We're in the top 10 rankings and we're shooting for number 1. So if you want to help us become number 1, go ahead and go to thefearlessentrepreneurs.com and buy your copy now. You can help us to get there. We're super excited about it. I love the stories in this book because, these are entrepreneurial journeys. Being an entrepreneur is not easy. There's a lot of ups and downs, twists, turns, sideways, backwards, a lot of backwards, sometimes more backwards than forwards. It's a journey. It's an amazing, amazing journey. And every single person's journey is different with different challenges, different desires and dreams, passions, different people that we meet. Everything is different. So I love it because the stories in this book they're just, going through those challenges that they've had. And many of the stories, like I, bring up tears as I'm reading them because some of the challenges are just like really, really deep, that these people, these are real people. And they really went through these things, these challenges, but they come out to the other side and having the success that they have today. Now, with that said, the word success is defined differently by everybody. So I want to ask both of you, Mary Elizabeth and Missy, what does the word success mean to you? So I'm going to come to Mary Elizabeth first. What does success mean to you?
It's a good question because, I was thinking about that earlier today, Linda. I was thinking about the words of being successful. And then, there are people who are famous out there and there are people who are successful out there because it doesn't always go hand in hand. And so success for me is first that you get, you accomplish the things you set out to do and you overcome challenges that you have in your life. Being a special needs mom, some of those challenges are so tiny that to me, with my child and watching him overcome and one of my daughters overcome, to me, that could be some of the greatest success there ever is in life. And so I think there are varying degrees of success, and I think it depends on who you are, where you are in your life, you know and what's important to you, because you may think success doesn't have anything to do with material gain at all. It can be overcoming those challenges, like your year of fear. That was a hugely successful year for you. Did you make any money from it? No. Did it make you famous? Did it make you, go to you get to go travel to an island or Hawaii? No, but those got you to a place in your life that you would never have gone if you had not taken on those challenges. If I had never, been able to overcome being agoraphobic and in my home and not being able to leave, even to go get my mail, which I didn't really talk about today. But if I had not done that, I would not be sitting here today talking to both of you or talking to anyone else and be in this book. But to me, that's a huge success, being able to just be here where I'm at, no matter what comes from it. I conquered that. And I have conquered other things. So I really, I don't know. I think that's a hard one for me to answer because there's just so many different degrees of what success is. If you can
Yeah,
be a good person in this life and you can walk a path of integrity and, like we've talked about before, own your crap and be a better person, that's some of the best success you can have in your life if you're serving others and helping them.
yeah, that own your crap came from another interview.
Yeah.
Like that's a new series of books. But thank
Yeah.
you for that. I love that. That's a great definition of success. And I have my own definition as well. Because to me, if I can every single night go to sleep knowing that I did good for the world, then it's a successful day. So success to me isn't like this big long time period. It's not this grand thing. Like for some people, success is being able to get out of bed that day, and that's what success means to them. So like you said, we all experience different definitions of success, and then you can even break it down even further, right? So you got the grand success, and then you got the smaller successes that happen along the way. So Missy, I want to hear your definition of success.
Okay, I think success is when your core beliefs and your values and your actions all line up. When you like, I have mine stated, these are what I want to happen in my life. This is who I want to be in my life. And when all of that is in alignment, you're successful. So that's why it seems like it can be very dependent on the person. It's subjective. And for me, that might not include material things. So, but for other people, it might include some sort of material aspiration, which tends to be the stereotypical definition of success. But I think there's a lot of synergy in success when you live in alignment, a life full of alignment.
Ooh, that's good. I love that. And the thing is, one of the things I like to say is that, comparison is the thief of joy, right? So if I compare my success to your success, I might feel deflated. But sometimes if I compare my success to yourself, I might feel boosted up in different ways. And maybe I feel like I'm better than you. And the reality is our lives are all different. And so that comparison, it just really takes away from who we really are and what we're, about and what we're meant to be on this planet. So Mary Elizabeth, I know you have something you wanted to give away, but then you got to stay because I'm not sure. Are you going to give away one, or how many are you going to give away?
I can give away 2 today.
Okay, go ahead and share with us what you're giving away today.
Yeah, so I am a children's author. I have a series, and we just released the 3rd book on June 2nd, and it's called Poolish's Oh, the Wonder of Me. And it's really great for ages 5 to 8. And it's all about the quirky, funny, silliness of the things that happen to children at that age, along with a page of I am statements, because I really believe it's important to teach children early in their life that positive, affirmative type of language, so that that helps to empower them. And language is free, so it's always with us. So, and hopefully we can bring in a generation of kids who are able to stand up for themselves in a very positive way, and be able to, say back to somebody things that are positive to uplift them instead of tearing them down. So I want to give away 2 copies of that book.
Awesome. And that's Poolicious, the Wonder of Me, for ages
Yes.
5 to 8.
Yes.
If they want an opportunity to win that, how are they going to reach out to you?
Well, they can go to my website, www.maryejackson.com. You can email me at mary@maryejackson.com. And let's see, I guess the first 2 people who email me in the next 30 minutes, should we say?
Well, let's give it 2 days.
2 days. Yeah,
I
because
mean,
people,
oh, wait.
because we're not, yes.
Yeah, because I don't know about the live, because I get more replay viewers than live viewers. So yeah.
Yes, let's do that. Okay, so let's say today's Monday, so Wednesday at 5 o'clock. By Wednesday at 5.
Wednesday at 5. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Everybody who's interested in winning one of those books, reach out to Mary, email her, and she will pick a winner. She'll pick 2 winners on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Let's do that, Mary. That way everybody reaches out to you and they're like, oh, I don't think I'm one of the first 2. So then you just do a drawing. And so, yeah, so you reach out to her and find out if you are a winner. Okay.
Yeah.
Sound good,
And then
Mary?
we'll announce it next time we're on or something. I don't know. So
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here and being part of this book and for sharing your story with the world to make a positive impact on the planet. Thank you.
thank you
Okay,
so
next up,
much.
Mitzi, I'm just going to put you on the spot. Did you have something you want to give away today?
I don't have anything to give away, but well, I guess we could say this is a giveaway. I'm going to be launching a free challenge in the next couple of weeks. It's a back to school reset. So if you are feeling overwhelmed and stuck, and you just kind of want to like get back into the groove of getting into a healthy routine now that the kids are getting back into school, then sign up for the free challenge. Have not created my landing page yet. So people could go to Facebook, I guess would be the best way. Missy Holder, it's my name. So just find me on Facebook, send me a direct message, give me your email address, and tell me that you are interested in the back to school reset, and I'll get you signed up.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So what you can do is go to on LinkedIn, because we're streaming to LinkedIn and YouTube. Missy will have the link where she can put her contact information in there, as well as Mary Elizabeth. Go ahead and you put your contact information so they can easily connect with you, ladies, and find out more about you and how you're going to be able to help them. But we got our next guests that are already in the green room there. We're doing this until 5 p.m. today Pacific time. So I got a couple more hours to go. We're interviewing so many amazing authors from this book, The Fearless Entrepreneurs. Fear less, be more. I'm super excited about it. We're at number 10 right now. We're shooting for number 1. So please share this out and giving us an opportunity to hit that number 1 spot, and really looking forward to you guys reading the book and seeing what you think about it. With that said, I'm going to send you back down to the green room, and we'll see you guys later.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye. Let's see. Next up, we have Shanna Lee Moore and Tanisha Coffey. We're going to be bringing them up in just a second, but I want to get some of my behind the scenes stuff done so I don't get myself too confused. You know how that is, right? Because I know that sometimes I'll just keep going and going and going, and then I forget to stop and breathe. So that's what I'm going to do right now. So here we are, The Fearless Entrepreneurs. This is a book that I came up with the title a couple years ago, and then started looking for those authors to share their story. Super excited because the men and women who are sharing their stories in this book are really making a positive impact on the planet. And one of my personal missions, actually, I have one personal mission, and that is to have as much fun as possible hanging out with positive, uplifting people who are making a positive impact on the planet. And that's what I've done is I've aligned myself with those types of people. So if you want to be connected with those type of people, you got to get this book and reach out to them, connect with them, make it happen, because they are action takers and they are making a difference in the world. So let's bring up next to the stage, we've got Tanisha Coffee and we have Shanna Lee Moore. Hi, ladies. Good to see you tonight, today, whatever it is.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing great, Lofty Entrepreneur. I love her title. I love it. I love it.
Thanks for
Welcome.
having us, Linda.
You're welcome. So you guys, you're excited? We're number 10 right now.
This is absolutely amazing. Like I am over the moon on this because this is something that was not even in my mind when this year started. So to start to see some of these things that were beyond what I dreamed for myself come to fruition is just amazing. And so I appreciate you. I'm so thankful to be able to participate in this with you.
Well, thank you. And Tanisha, remind me, like, how did we meet? Was it on Clubhouse or what was, no,
No.
it wasn't on Clubhouse. No. How did we
So
meet?
we met, I think I was on LinkedIn. I think I saw one of your networking events for like the Saturdays. During that event, the vibe of your group is absolutely amazing. And I was on that, loving that. But then during that, you mentioned about your Clubhouse Money Maker Challenge. And so my husband had just put the app on my phone. I said, yes, I need to learn more about this. And I got in the challenge and I learned so much through that challenge. I know you have another one coming up soon. And also just being with you and the other women that were part of that. So that's how we kind of just really connected.
Yeah, I sometimes I don't remember how I meet people. I remember the people, but not how we meet. And because to me that's not as important, right, as it is like who they are and what we do together. And it is interesting because if you think about these social media platforms and how they have changed the scope of entrepreneurship, and just like what 20. I guess Facebook's really, from what I remember, was 2008 is when I got on Facebook. So it might have been around maybe I think 2005, 2006 or something. So if you think about it, it hasn't even been around for 20 years. So the last landscape of entrepreneurship has completely flipped itself, on its head. And now there's so many different businesses that have popped up because of the internet. Right. So it's like, what are entrepreneurs doing? They're putting themselves out there and doing different things for the world. As they're like, oh, this thing sucks. So you know what? I'm going to figure out how to make it better and I'm going to put it out there and see if it helps anybody. And then, hey, oh, cool, I got a business,
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting how we can really tap into what we have going on in the world today. And entrepreneurship has been around since the beginning of time. It really has. But it's like what we're doing today is just sometimes it's faster. So welcome to the Fearless Entrepreneurs. And so I'm going to talk to Shanna Lee first. We have Shanna Lee, your chapter is called Faith Over Fear. So I want to hear from you. Tell us a little bit about that. What does that mean to you? Because I have my own definition, but I want to hear from you. What does that mean? And why did you decide on that as the title for your chapter?
So faith is very important to me. I don't believe in coincidences. I believe everything happens for a reason, and all of our experiences get us to where we are in our life. And for me, I could let fear take over and prevent myself from taking the next step. Or I can really just believe that to my core, that the universe and God and everything is working for my highest good and purpose, and all the things are coming together. And by taking those next action steps and really putting myself out there and saying yes to the opportunities, that's when I'm going to receive the blessings for the action. Because when I just sit here and think about something, yes, I can have great ideas, or I could, have things to share with people. But if I don't open my mouth and speak it out loud and I don't take any action or do anything, then nothing's going to come of it. It's just going to be that idea in the back of my head. And so I really just wanted to encourage others to step outside and get through that barrier of fear, like how you did in your other story, and just believe in themselves and take those steps, because there's always going to be someone who wants to help you. There's always going to be someone who's done something before that you have been interested in, and you can collaborate together and they'll share that wisdom, just like you, and reaching out with all these other wonderful entrepreneurs. Like, we have just met some great people just in the last, couple of months of promoting and really getting things put together, and really just everyone has such a great story to share. And I can't wait to read them all in more detail. I read a little bit, proofing the book, but it's just so, it makes my heart happy when other people's dreams come true. And so that's really what I like to have conversations about and share with others and brainstorm and really just figure out if anything that I know about or any people that I've met in my life could help someone, then I like to connect them and really, start those relationships so that everyone can really have that joy that comes from getting the success with their ideas.
You know what I love about what you said? Well, there's a lot of different things, but the one thing that really stood out to me is that you love it when other people succeed, and that right there is to me, that is the ultimate in abundance, like an abundance mindset. Because a lot of times people will talk abundance, but they don't really live it. And there is a big difference. Like, you're going to walk the walk and talk the talk. You're going to talk the walk and walk the talk, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. But it's interesting because are you really living that abundant life? And for those who, like, for me, I love it when somebody, I like to call it bragging, when somebody brags about themselves, because that means they're doing good things. And that's what we need on this planet. We need to see people who are succeeding at things, who are excited about what they did. And I think for me, at least, that as a child, it was like, oh, don't brag, don't be boastful, like all these things we're told not to do. But what that did for me is it made me shrink and shrink and shrink, and then not even be excited for myself anymore, until I got to this place now where I'm surrounding myself with people who want to see me succeed. And so I love how you said that, because being able to support others for the dreams that they have. And you have right there on your wall, I'm pointing at it, nobody can see what I'm pointing at, but it says dream big. It's really about, like, what are your dreams, and go for it, make it happen. Find people who can support you to help you get there. There are so many people out there that can help you. You are not an island unto yourself. There's an abundance of people who can help you. So thank you for that. I'm going to move on to Tanisha now. And Tanisha, your title, I love it because we got fearless, fearless. So what brought this title up? Like the way you wrote it, because this is specifically the way you wrote it. So I'm curious, like, what brought that on?
So honestly, this is my process. This is how I have made it through being an entrepreneur for the last 15 plus years. Fear is what got me into entrepreneurship. It's how everything kind of started for me. It was a fear of not being able to take care of myself and having to move home, after college and live with my mom. I didn't want to do that. So my journey into entrepreneurship started with fear. And then over time, I realized that back then I didn't have the acronym for it, but I realized that the only option was to face everything and rise. That's where the fear, F.E.A.R, comes from. Face everything and rise. And that's what I did. That fear that I had of, you know, failing at the time pushed me into going ahead and being an entrepreneur. And yes, I was scared about doing that because it was something non-traditional. Most people in my family were not doing it, but I didn't feel like I had any other option. So I said, I have to face this. I have to do something. What I'm doing now isn't working. So I got to try something else. So I faced everything and I ended up rising. In doing that, that helped me to then fear less. So things that were scary to me at the time, and even to this day, things that are scary, they become less scary as I work through that process. I'm scared of it, then I face it, then I'm less fearful of that thing, but then also other things that seem scary to me become less scary. They're still scary, there's still some fear, but I still face it. And as time goes by, that time it takes for me to go through the process shortens. And then ultimately, I end up becoming fearless because once I get to that place where I've faced that fear and I'm not as fearful, I go for it. And that's how I've gotten to the places that I am today. That's how I am going to take myself to the places that I want to go in the future.
I love that you created a process, about fear and overcoming that fear, and it works. That's the thing is, you find something that works and you do it, right?
Absolutely.
So Tanisha's process might work for you, and you try it, see if it works, and if it does, keep doing it. And that's the thing is, like, we don't have to give up just because we tried something and it didn't work. We try something else, and we keep trying, and we keep trying something else to see what is actually going to work for us. And so trying that process, in 2015, I faced a fear every single day for a whole year, 365 days in a year in a row, and I created my process, what works for me. So it's interesting because as we're going through these journeys ourselves, and we pick up different things from different people, and doing different things in their lives, and in different experiences, that we learn something from them. And what are we going to learn from it and take into our future that's going to help us to keep on moving forward? So congratulations on that, on figuring out what helps you to face everything and rise, and what does that mean to you, and then how can you like tap into that on a more frequent basis. So that's awesome. So
Thank
what I
you.
want to talk about next is Shanna Lee. I'm going to bring you back up here. Let's see. I'm going to do something different here. Okay. Wait, hold on. There we go. Okay. Awesome. So Shanna Lee, share with us, what is it that you're doing today, and what got you into that?
Today we're promoting a book.
Yes, exactly. Okay. Well, I got you. Let's talk about that. That's all I want to talk about.
No, for
That's
sure.
what she's talking about, by the way.
I have written poetry since I was a child. And so that's been a dream of mine, to be a writer. And this book gave me the opportunity to not only share my entrepreneurial story, but also to include one of my poems in the chapter. I have another book that's coming out that has a poem in it. I don't have a launch date for that yet either. But it's just, like I said, when I take those next steps, all these opportunities came. That other writing and the other poem, I was actually told that I missed the deadline last year. Last year was really rough on a lot of us. As a massage therapist, I'm very much a people person. I like to be around people in person, not online. I love the online now. I'm very thankful for it. It's given us some great opportunities to stay connected. But I got into a little bit of a depression last year, and I really wasn't doing what I needed to do to adequately share my other business opportunities and really go out and serve and help people. And so I had wanted to be a part of this other book, and I turned in a submission, and the author, or the person in charge, said I had missed the deadline. And I was a little upset and let down, but I had to take responsibility for myself, because I'm the one who wasn't taking the action. And so I put it out there on Facebook in a group of other people that were familiar with Napoleon Hill and Think and Grow Rich. And so they would be appreciative of the content. And then I got an email a couple months ago about it, coming out. And I was like, sure, yeah, I want to get it. I want to support everybody else. And then I got an email that had a PDF version, and I skimmed through it, and it was like, thank you for your contribution. And I was like, what? They included it? They told me I missed the deadline. Like, so amazing. So happy tears that day. And really just all these interviews, all these opportunities to talk with the other authors, all these podcasts, all these things that we're just able to share now. I've, still working on some of my processes to, the YouTube channel playlists good, and so that when people find me, they can search me. I'm pretty much Shanna Lee Moore all over social media across the board. I've tried to make it simple for people to find me, but really just to be able to see if what I'm doing can help. People need money, people need health, people need connections, people need relationships. We're here to be a blessing to others. We're here to have community and to really collaborate together and find that oneness, instead of looking at all the things that make us different, to really look at how we can relate to one another and encourage each other and be that support system. I didn't have a big family that was supportive for me, so I've always relied more on relationships with my friends, and those relationships have changed over time. Some people won't come with you when you're advancing to the next level of life, and some people won't be happy for your successes, and it's unfortunate, but it makes room for someone else that will appreciate that position to come in, someone else who will be your cheerleader, someone else who can, maybe introduce you to someone that's going to help make your dreams come true. So that's just really, I just love helping. And I like talking to new people and hearing what motivates and inspires them and seeing how we can help their dreams come to fruition too, because I really believe everyone needs someone to believe in them. And all of the things that I've learned on this entrepreneurial journey in the last 9 years, I've been able to teach my kids so that that next generation can have better tools. They don't have to rely on the old patterns and behaviors that no longer serve us. And they can really get out there and experience the success at a younger age and really learn about what they're excited and passionate about and how to bring that into their life full time.
Well, that's awesome. Congratulations on finding that, and then moving into that space. That's so fantastic. I love it when I hear, how, people find that, like I remember you reaching out to me and saying, can I put my poem in the book? And I'm like, well, yeah, of course, that's part of your story, and I really love it. It came out really good, so I'm excited for you all to get the hard copies in the mail. It should be this week. I know the mail has been a little bit slower with the COVID stuff. It's not as much, they don't have as much staff and stuff, but hopefully you guys will get them this week and hold the book in your hot little hands. So thank you so much for sharing that. Oh, Shanna Lee, we're going to come back to you in just a minute, but you have something you're going to be giving away. And so we want to make sure that we bring you up to do that as well. So Tanisha, so you want to share with us, what are you doing now, The Lofty Entrepreneur? Because I know that's your title, right? That's your branding, is The Lofty Entrepreneur. Well, how did you come up with that, first of all? And then what are you doing today in your entrepreneurial journey?
So the name came from my humble beginnings. When I started this business, like I kind of mentioned earlier, I was just out of school. I had no money. I was living off of, student loans and things like that. And so it wasn't something that I planned to be doing. I wasn't working anywhere. So I was pretty much had to be super creative in everything that I did in starting my business. And that was just something I kind of locked into. The word lofty for me means, being creative, thinking through, you have a goal that you want to reach and figuring out how you can do that regardless of the roadblocks or the hurdles that may stand in your way. And then, of course, I'm an entrepreneur. So for me, that's how kind of the notion of the Lofty Entrepreneur brand came about. When I started out, I started off as a copywriter, and I would provide, consulting advice, and that kind of grew into different things over the years, providing services like digital marketing services and things like that. In addition to that, and I've just evolved over time. When I started, I was single and no kids. Now I'm married with 3 kids. So life has changed, and how I do business and how I need to do business to have the life that I want as an entrepreneur has evolved. So today I work primarily as a business strategist. I help small businesses to basically reach their critical milestones that they need to reach in order to streamline and to monetize their business. So basically, I help them get stuff done. That's what I do.
GSD, right? Get stuff done.
Yes.
Yeah, I used to have, I have a mastermind, Women Action Takers, and it's gone through many, many iterations, so many different names that I've had it, it was always the same thing, but a different name. And one of those was GSD. But I did call it Get Shit Done. So the Get Shit Done Mastermind is what it was called. But I moved out of that into the Women Action Takers Mastermind. But yeah, so it's interesting, as you mentioned, because evolving, right? And so that's what I did with my mastermind. Shanna's moving into something else, right? So we have all these different things that we're doing, and sometimes we're forced into it, because like Shanna, her work as a massage therapist, like it's just like halted with COVID, and there wasn't a way to do it. You can't physically get to people. So making that shift, that shift into something different, and then figuring out, what am I going to do? How am I going to make it happen? So Shanna, I want to bring you up because I want to talk about that time period, when the pandemic started. Like, what kind of fears were going through your mind at that time, if any? And if like what did you if you did have any fears during that time, like, what am I going to do? How did you get to the other side of that?
So I probably didn't recognize it as a fear at the moment, but for me, it's the feeling of inadequacy or being less than, because I had my kids and so they were home and we were doing the homeschool thing. And then, that puts me in the home more for the domestic duties. And these are not typically my strong suits. I'm more of the masculine, get stuff done energy, like to go out and go to work and really provide. I've been a single mom for a lot of my kids' lives. And so I was used to doing all that on my own. And to really kind of be able to embrace the new partnership that I have with my husband now, and really be able to rely and depend on him maybe more financially while I was taking care of some of those other really important things, and really evaluating the educational system that was in place for my kids. This year, my youngest daughter is not going back to her school. We have decided to keep her home so that we can really encourage the other ways of learning that entrepreneurship helps us learn, be it personal development or business or whatever, just, to have that time freedom that isn't being used up by 50 math problems when, you can get the concept in maybe 20 of them. There were days where she was working on school from 9 a.m. till 7:30 at night and didn't have that time to really be a child and get to play. And so I'm so excited that our book is giving the proceeds to the charity, the Lemonade Day, to really help encourage these things in this next generation. It really helps us be able to leave that legacy and teach these skills. And I tell my kids every day, the younger you learn this, the longer you get to benefit from it. You don't have to be 30, 40, 50, 70, however old we are when we start our journey. My 10-year-old got some chips from Costco and is selling them around the neighborhood in her little wagon. And so, she could really just decide, how much is that? And we can turn that into her math problem. Like, how much money did you make? What was your investment? What is your, your profit? And just make it fun, because this is our life. And the time we spend in school and time we spend working takes up a majority of it. And to really be able to bring joy and fun and play back into that is amazing. Like, no one should feel sad or depressed or dreading Mondays or, all of those things. Like, maybe for a time you might have to take a position that isn't in a complete alignment with what you want to do, but to always be working on yourself and growing to that next level so that you can really get out there and make it happen and have your life the way that you want to create it.
I love that. And I love how you're doing that with your children. I know the school system probably not too happy about all the money they're going to lose from all the kids that are going to start staying home, but something for them to think about. So we won't talk about that because I'm not into talking about politics and stuff like that. But I know you have a free gift. You have a free brainstorming session. You want to tell us, like, what can they expect in that brainstorming session? And then how can they connect with you to get that?
Yeah, so I love to meet with people on Zoom because we can get that face-to-face, even if we can't get belly to belly. And that allows me to serve more people in other areas besides just my local area. I'll probably ask you some intense questions, maybe not too intense, but really to learn about you. Anything you want to volunteer just helps me help you better. And the quicker we have that rapport built and the trust, and the more likely you are to listen to any of the suggestions that I come up with. A lot of times, some of the first ideas that I have about something is when I tell them to people, they're like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I would have never thought about my own. And so I really like to bless people with different ideas. And, I have a couple of different business opportunities. I have a couple thousand friends that I'll have business opportunities, it's got to be a way I can help you. So it's probably going to be between 15 minutes to half an hour, just depending on, how much you want to share or how many questions you have for me. And that just, you can email me at shannaleemore@gmail.com, or you can connect with me on social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all under Shanna Lee Moore. I just joined Clubhouse today, so I'm still getting that set up, but hopefully I'll get to learn from the master over here and she can help me. get that going.
Awesome. Awesome. So for your free brainstorming session, email her shannaleemore@gmail.com or check her out on social media. Thank you so much, Shanna Lee, for being part of this compilation, sharing your story. And I'm going to move on over to Tanisha. Tanisha, you want to share with us, because I know you have a free gift for everybody. You want to share what that is and how they can get that.
Absolutely. So I am looking for people who are ready to move the needle on their business. If that is you, then we should definitely talk. I am offering a free discovery call. It'll be about 15 or 20 minutes. We'll chit chat, get to know one another, and figure out if we're a good fit. If we are, then I may invite you to become part of my laser coaching sessions. And so, for those of you who are interested in that, please reach out to me. You can reach out to me here on LinkedIn. I am one of probably very few Tanisha Coffees. See the face? You'll find me. My face is on there. Or you can email me directly at tanisha@thelofty-entrepreneur.com. On Facebook, I'm at The Lofty Entrepreneur as well. And then I'm on, Twitter and Instagram at The Lofty Entrepreneur. You see the theme there? You guys will find me. Reach out. I am happy to help and I'd love to speak with you.
I do see the theme. The Lofty Entrepreneur. I love it. Well, I want to thank you, ladies, so much for being here. This is cool because these I'm doing these interviews for 4 hours today, and so we're going back to back to back. And so I have our next two guests that have just shown up in the green room, and super excited to move to them as well. But please get the book, The Fearless. Oops, wrong. The Fearless Entrepreneurs. Go to thefearlessentrepreneurs.com. We have both the Kindle version and the print version are available. And currently at this moment right now, we are still, I'm going to check really quick. Hold on. Please hold. Let's see what's happened. We're at number 9 now. Okay. We went from 10 to 9 just in the last, it's like every hour and a half or so that they update the rankings. So we're at number 9. We're really, really close to that number 1. So please, please spend 99 cents on us and get your Kindle version copy of the book so that we can move into that number 1 spot. Those last, it's interesting because when we started off, we were at like number 5,000 something. And then, really quickly, we moved up to, I think it was 112 yesterday or something. And then we backed off back to like 2000 or something. And then today we're like hitting it really heavy, right? And then we get to like it was like number 85. And then from 85, we jumped to number 10. So we're still jump, 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 jump. And now we're at the deadline, right? And this is what happens just like in entrepreneurship. You have this idea, you put it out there, things start to move. And then as you get closer and closer and closer to the end result, even though your momentum is still there, things don't happen as quickly because there's those little steps that, oh, darn, I forgot about this. Like this morning, I was like, oh, darn it, I forgot to create a Facebook chat so that we could chat with each other. You know what I mean? So like there's all these little nitty gritties that come up. So as we're climbing this ladder of becoming a number 1 best-selling book, best-selling authors, we're really needing your help to help us do that. So please go spend that 99 cents. Go to thefearlessentrepreneurs.com. It's right there at the bottom of the screen and help us to become a number 1 best-selling authors. And with that, I want to thank you, ladies, so much for being here today. And thanks for being on my journey of the fearless entrepreneurs and sharing your stories with the world and making a greater impact on the planet.
Thank you, Linda. Appreciate
Thank you, Linda.
You're welcome. Thank you. So I'm
Bye.
going to remove you ladies now from the screen here, and then I'm going to bring up our next two guests. And before I do that, though, I need to clear off my screen to make sure I don't do any weird stuff because I do weird stuff anyway, but this is a different kind of weird. This is an unplanned weird. So next up, we have our next two guests. We have Kim Glass and Whitney Wiley, and I'm excited to bring them up to share their stories. But in the meantime, I want to thank you very much. Whoever you are that are watching, please drop in the comments. I want to know who you are. Like, what's your entrepreneurial journey? Are you an entrepreneur? What are you doing? How are you making a difference on the planet through your entrepreneurial work? Because I truly believe that every single entrepreneur is doing something to make a difference on this planet, a positive impact on this planet, because you're really stepping into it and you're making a difference by showing that, you know what, I'm not going to go with the status quo. I am different and I'm accepting that I am different. I am maybe weird like me. I've been called weird all my life, or you're silly or goofy, all those things. Hey, you know what? I take those as compliments now because they're what helps me to say, this is who I am. This is what I'm all about. And you know what? I say goofy, silly things sometimes, and I don't have any excuse for that because that's just me. I'm all for that. So anyway, I'm going to bring up to the stage. We got the beautiful, let me bring the people up, not their names. Okay, we got Kim and we got Whitney. Welcome, ladies, to the Fearless Entrepreneurs. Did you hear my announcement that we're number 9 right now?
Woo!
We're doing it. We're climbing that ladder, that fearless entrepreneurial ladder. And
How
I love this
exciting.
cover. I know it's so exciting, right? I love this cover, and I actually had a dream about it. I had a dream about it. And then, you have an idea in your mind, and being able to formulate that vision in your mind into words that somebody else creates for you. I want to talk about that briefly before we, go and you're talking about your chapters and everything. But I want to hear from both of you. Like, what's your thought on that? Because like Kim, behind you, you've got your banner there. Like, did you have an idea of what you wanted that to look like? And if you did, like, how did you regurgitate from your brain through words, to somebody who designed it for you? Or did you design it yourself? I mean, did you design it yourself?
I was in the collaboration, but I didn't design it. But I knew that I wanted a banner. So I first started searching with my wonderful connection on banner size and that sort of thing. And then, once I knew the parameters and that sort of thing, we really worked together, with my photos and the cover of the book. And then it just kind of all synced in together. I knew kind of what I wanted after it started coming together, and then was able to move it around.
That's awesome. I love it because, just because we have an idea doesn't mean it's always going to look the best, but right, we got to start somewhere.
Exactly.
And I think that's the key there is we got to start somewhere, and it might be a freaking mess, to get started, but then we like hone in on it and we keep on chipping away at it. And eventually you got a book cover that looks so amazing, just like this, right?
I love it. Yes.
Yeah, Whitney, I want to hear your perspective on that, like about, that having that idea, that vision in your head, and how do you turn it into something, or like not you yourself, because we have our own vision, that's one thing, but when you, like I said, regurgitate that to somebody else to have them create your vision for you, how do you do that?
Well, I think it obviously starts with having that vision, because if you don't have it, you can't communicate it to someone else. And so I'm a big believer in being very clear about what it is you want, what it is you want it to look like. And I think we just think it's okay to like have a desire. You can have a vision, but the more detailed you can be, the easier it is to communicate, and the easier it is for someone else to be able to help you. And in fact, the universe, right, to help you. Because, if you ask for something and you're not clear and you get something, either it's not what you wanted, what you really wanted, but it is what you said you wanted, or the other option is that you get it and you don't recognize that you've gotten it, right? And so that's why it's really clear. As it relates to sharing it with other people and having them help me with, to manifest stuff. I have a couple of podcasts, and that's exactly what happened. I just started with, wouldn't it be really cool if we did this? And then people were like, well, what does that look like? Well, I don't know right now. I just had an idea and I want to act on it. And then it was like, okay, you've got to get clear so that I could explain it to other people. And now I have 2 podcasts that are doing really well. One with a group of 4 other ladies and one with a single co-host, that we passed our first year anniversary for both of those, because I was able to think through and articulate what it was that I was seeing and how it would work out.
Yeah, and that brings up so many different like routes that we could take, but we don't have enough time for that today because I was thinking about all those like you said, you had this idea, you shared it with somebody, and they're like, what does that look like? You're like, I don't know, it's just an idea. I don't really have what that looks like yet. I have to like ruminate. Sometimes Sometimes I
Yes.
have to, I call it ruminate on my ideas. Sometimes I have to do that. And other times it's like the vision comes with the idea. So totally random of what's going to happen. So what I want to do is I want to bring Kim up and talk about your chapter, Kim, which is the 7 promises of courage for entrepreneurs. And I want to talk about that and just ask you, first of all, what made you come up with that title? I know the answer already, but I want the audience to know what the answer is and share with us those 7 promises of courage. Don't give us all of them, though, because we want them to buy the book to get all 7. So tell us 2 of those promises of courage, the 2 that mean the most to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Linda. So some of you know my story, and those of you that are just tuning in, I was born and raised in a religious cult, and I escaped after 35 years. And so that area of my life was so fearful. And yet in my business life, that was an area that I could thrive and live and take self-ownership and leadership to be the best employee, to be better than I am today than I was yesterday. And so at the age of 17, I really started delving into personal development from my first job working at a local bank. And they brought in a person about every quarter, I believe, that talked about personal development. And what I see with my clients and people that I talk to is they're held back from an irrational fear. So when I think about fear, like I have an expertise in living in fear. But when I think about that, even through that fear, I was able to accomplish other things in my life. I didn't realize till years later that my fear wasn't all knotted up into what I call shopping carts, like at the local grocery store. Mine were more compartmentalized. So I got to be myself in a different area of my life and take leadership in that area. But what I often see with my clients is that they're knotted up in one big ball around this irrational fear that may not even be true. And that irrational fear is keeping people awake at night and unable to achieve their personal and their business goals. And so, my story that I had so many years ago wasn't just my story, but I was like, how can I share a roadmap to help people move through their fear when they feel it? And so that is what the 7 promises of courage for entrepreneurs is. Even though I had a wonderful corporate career and I loved that, and I really felt like I was an entrepreneur, even in that corporate space, as crazy as that sounds. But as an entrepreneur, what are the roadmap that you need to move your business forward, or simply just to get started? Like, how can you get off of the home plate, so to speak, and get to first base, and by getting started? And so when I think about the roadmap, I have it broken down into the 7 promises of courage, because courage is a promise to us that we can move through the fear and be over on the other side of it. Not that it's totally gone, not that we won't feel it again, not that we won't be challenged again, but every time we are, we're a little bit better for it. And it's a learning process. And so just 2 quick tips. So the 7 promises of courage, each one of those begins with the letter courage. So I'll give you a tip that I gave earlier on another show today. So the C is all about confidence. Confidence in ourselves, confidence in what our passion is and what we're wanting to build in our business for ourselves is so important, because it's the very foundation that everything else is built upon. And so the C is for confidence. And then the R is all about relationships. Who are you networking with? Who are you building your connected community with? Who are you surrounding yourself that may be where you're wanting to go? And then who are you, the opinions of others that you're leaving behind on your journey? So building that connected community getting curious about people that you meet along your journey. You never know who that next person is that you're going to meet that changes the trajectory of your business or is your best referral source. So confidence and relationships is what I want to share with you today. So I'll throw it back to you, Linda. Thank you.
Confidence and relationships. So that's the C and the R. You're going to have to get the book to find the other letters. I love that. I'm going to have to create one of those kind of fun things where you've got like all these different letters that attach to it and then just give away a couple of them. But that's so fascinating. I remember when I first met you, Kim, which was several years ago, and I found out that you had, you were escaped that religious cult. And I just like, oh my God, I can't imagine what it must have been like to be in that. And then I think at the same time, I didn't realize it, but I was actually in a business cult. I don't know. I think I told you that. Yeah. So
Yes.
it's interesting because we had this, little bit of common thing that went on in a completely different level. I'm not going to compare the two, but mine was more like I was an adult. And so I'm going to come back to Kim in just a second, but how do you know when it's time to get out of a cult that you even didn't know you were in, or how do you know that you're in a cult? Because for me, I realized later that it was that they were preying on my desperation. I was extremely desperate at that point in my business because I was losing money like left and right, and I was running out of it. And they had this promise, that they were just like preying on that. And it took me a while to realize it. And my husband was like, "I think it's a cult. I think it's a cult." I'm like, "No, they really." It's interesting because other people around me, they saw it, but I denied it because I was in such desperation. So we're going to come back to Kim in just a bit to talk about that. Teaser. I love it. So Whitney, we've got your title of your chapter is Out of My Head. And so I want to hear, like, what does that mean? How did you come up with that title? Like, what's that all about?
Well, for me, you think about fear, and the first thing we think is physical danger. And that's not what I was in. There wasn't anything that was keeping me physically from doing what I wanted to do. There wasn't anything physically that I needed to be concerned with, right? We don't live in a time of lions, tigers, and bears around every corner. And so that's not the kind of fear, which is a healthy fear. I think sometimes we give fear a bad name. Fear is there to protect us. That's all it is. It is something that is meant to get us aware of our environment and to address what dangers lie around us. However, if there are no actual dangers and the only thing that is happening is in your head, then it's something that you have to stop and work through. And I figured out that that's what was happening with me. I wanted to be an entrepreneur like 30 years ago. I started down that path and I ran into some roadblocks. And at the time, I didn't have the skills, the ability. I hadn't really worked through anything. I hadn't really failed at anything in life at that point, except a marriage. And I owned my part in that, but it wasn't all me. So I didn't feel like a failure until I started a business and it didn't go well. And then when it didn't go well, it sort of paralyzed me from making some decisions moving forward, particularly as it related to my career. So I did this entrepreneurial endeavor. It didn't work. I ended up going back to work as a waitress. I did not like waiting tables, but it was something that I could do quickly and I could make money easily. And so that's what I did and continued to look for work. And so I ended up with this pattern of making decisions out of fear and fear of not having enough money to pay the bills, keeping a roof over my head, fear of failure, fear of being inadequate. At that time, I hadn't finished college. And so I felt a little bit like a failure not having finished college, but that didn't necessarily stop me. And all of a sudden, I was feeling like I couldn't move forward. And I was just making decision after decision out of fear, but I didn't know that at the time. That was just the pattern that I was in. And so eventually I went to law school. I worked as a lawyer and a lobbyist, had been in that job for a while. When I first started, I enjoyed it. There came a day when I did not. Piled on top of that was some bad leadership where I was working. I was looking for work to get out. It wasn't happening. No one would hire me. And I started to feel really despondent about it. But then I thought, and going to your very first question, sort of about vision, it's like, what do you want, right? You're sort of hopping from thing to thing. What do you want? What do you want your life to look like? What is it that you want to do? What do you want to take your skills, your talents, your gifts and abilities? How do you want to use these things? What is your life's purpose? Why are you here? And I'm asking all these questions, and I'm starting for the first time in my life to actually listen inside instead of think through all the logical things that make sense. Right. And so you're failing in a business. The thing that makes sense is to get a job so you can have money. And I started paying attention to my heart and paying attention to my intuition. And so I used that ultimately to make some other decisions that led me to leaving that job 3 years ago. Best decision I've ever made. I have the honor and privilege of training leaders and helping people work through process like I worked through in terms of figuring out what their purpose is, what they want to do with their life, how they can be of service to other people and do work that they love. And so, fear, again, has its place. But if it's paralyzing you, you've got to look at it and make some decisions about how you're going to move forward. Are you going to move through something, over it, under it, around it? You've just got to take some steps. You got to keep moving. You got to get out of your head. Certainly, I had to get out of mine, out of my head, into my heart to figure out what it is I wanted to do. And then trust that I had everything that I needed to do what I was called to do. And when I started doing that, the fear, I'm not going to say it's gone away. I still have moments when, I have a new idea and I'm questioning, there's some doubt and I'm questioning whether it's a good path. But once I make a determination that that's what I want to do, I don't let the fear get in my way. I just take a step and let's see what happens. It is a philosophy that I got from Jack Canfield. It is ready, fire, aim instead of ready, aim, fire. So it's ready, fire. That means take some action, do something. And if it's off the mark, make an adjustment. And that's where I am right now. Making adjustments and being okay with things not being perfect and not having all the answers as an excuse not to do something.
I love that, Whitney, and that, out of my head. I remember we were on another interview show a little bit earlier, and I was thinking about that out of my head, because sometimes I need to go into my head. I know, like they say, move to your heart. And it's interesting is when I had a life coach, and with my life coach, she taught me how to tap into my heart, because I had been tapping into my head the majority of my life. But then it was kind of interesting, because as I was working with her and she was teaching me how to, tap into my heart, sometimes I would say, I need to think about that. Because sometimes it wasn't, I had to, for me, the way I formulate things in my head, I actually have to think about it and process through it.
I think there's a balance that has to happen, right? There's a balance there. Of course, you're not going to do things without thinking about it, but you can't be so into thinking things through, solving every problem, right? So, and that's where I was. If I didn't have every step worked out, if I hadn't thought through all the obstacles and eventualities, then I was like, well, I can't go because I haven't figured this out. What if something happens? Rather than think it through, right? Come up with a plan, take some action. And if something comes up, you told the story about that platform, right? the dreaded biggest platform, and putting sort of a monkey wrench in the process leading up to the launch of the book. You didn't let that stop you, right? You could have thought about that. Well, what if this happens? Well, I'm going to work on figuring out how this algorithm works and keep them from stopping me. You could have done that, and launch day could have passed by. What you did was, let's launch, let's do the things. When that issue came up, you're like, I'll find another way. And that's what we have to do. We've got to be willing to use all aspects of ourselves, right? Our brains, our heart, leveraging relationships and collaborations, all of the things that are at our disposal, rather than getting wrapped around the axle around one thing. And if that one thing doesn't work out, then we're just stuck.
Yeah, that's so good. Yeah, because that I guess being pliable, right? We need to be like,
Yes,
be
flexible.
like
Yeah.
Gumby. Be like Gumby. There we go. Just be like Gumby. I love that. I'm going to move back to Kim. So I'm going to bring Kim back over here. I love this thing with StreamYard now that you can literally just like pull the people over and move them wherever you want. So it's kind of fun for me. I'm having fun. I hope your ladies are having fun too. So Kim, so I want to come back to that question that I said that I would ask. Sometimes I'll say stuff like that. Like, I'm going to come back to so and so, and then I forget that I said I was going to do that, but I did not forget this one. So Kim, I want to find out, like from your perspective, because you were in a cult, religious cult for 35 years, and so from your perspective, what are the first signs that something is a cult? And like, let's say somebody's in this environment, because it doesn't have to be a religious cult.
Right.
It's not limited to religious cults. I think a lot of times we think it might be, but it doesn't have to be limited to just that. So what would be like some of the signs that you would say that if this is happening and this is happening, look at it and from a different perspective to see if this is a cult that you're in, and then how do you get out of it?
Yeah, thank you, Linda. It's so true. You know, I speak a lot about patterns and generational patterns and the conditioning that happens. You know, I was born and raised into it, so it became my normal, just as people that we know that have been born and raised into abusive homes or alcoholic homes and those sorts of things. So if you think about it that way, you know, that is framed as what the normal is. Now, it didn't start out like that. It got worse over time. But what I would say is I knew from my experience that by the time I had my daughter, that I was not going to allow my daughter to go through things that I had gone through. And the thing about it is, it was kind of like the carrot and the stick. Like I kept hearing, oh, we're almost through this. Things are going to get better. Things are going to get better. And what I learned in that experience is things don't get better unless you decide to do and take a different action and decision. And that's exactly what happened in my case. You know, I kept hearing these whispers that, you know, something's not right, or look over here. You talked about pray. I have a chapter in my book that's called Cults and How They Pray, Prey. And once those people find out what your weakness is, instead of supporting you to your higher level, they begin that being the focus of how they want to continuously tear you down, give that information to your child, your friends in the cult, and that sort of thing. And so as I got older, I started getting these whispers. I had in my knowledge that this was not going to pass to my kid, that I would be out of there if things didn't change. And I kind of started peeling the onion And I started watching and getting more in tune to what they were saying. And I think when you start hearing something, but the actions are different, and you start seeing that repeatedly over and over and over again, to where their words and their actions are misaligned, and yet they're wanting you to be someone that you're not, then that's where the rubber meets the road. And you have to make a decision of, you know what, I've gone so far in this situation, but I can't continue. I have to do something different, and it's for my own good. And so I share that because I knew when I left that my friends and even some of my family that are even still in it today would cut me off. And I'm a huge people person. I build relationships. It's one of those things that has always been a part of me since I was a young. And so knowing that, if I make this decision, then there's a final cutoff, and I had to get really okay with it. Like, I could stay here and have my daughter face the same thing, or I can do something different. And what I found is once I made that clean break, I actually ran an ad in the newspaper and did a former members reunion. And over 200 of my friends that I thought I had lost from years past that had already left, we all got together. And then also as a result, I had friends that knew, okay, if Kim left, then there's something going on that she is not telling us, or we're not asking her. And so it's kind of what we say, when the fear of doing something different or wanting something different in your life begins screaming louder than where you currently are, you have to move and you have to do something different. And so for me, it was all about words and action were not meshing. I know, Linda, you mentioned that in businesses, it's exactly the same. If someone is supporting A, B, and C, and then you get in there and it's not about that, then that's kind of the whisper. And I've seen that in other businesses too. So thank you for that question.
Yeah, I'm going to interrupt you just briefly because I know that Whitney is heading over to another interview real quick. So what I wanted to do before, and we'll come back to you, Kim, in just a second. Stay here. So
okay.
Whitney, I want you to share with us, because I know you have a free giveaway. Go ahead and give that away so you can hop over to the next interview, because we got tons of interviews going on for this book, The Fearless Entrepreneurs, that just hit number 9 in entrepreneurship, which is super exciting. And so Whitney's got to head on over to another interview. So Whitney, share with us, what is your free gift today?
Absolutely. So one of the services I provide is accountability. I think the key to dealing with fear is taking action. And when we take action, we can move through it. The fear may not go away, but you can move through it. And so the accountability calls are a way of helping you do that. So I am giving away an accountability strategy session and a week of free calls. And in the session, I'll explain how the calls work. They only take like a minute of your time, 5 days a week. And so you can try it out. If it's something that works for you, you can continue or look at some other services or move on to something else. So that's what I've got offered for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Whitney. I know you got to bounce. You got to head on over there and promote the book.
I will. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure and an absolute honor to be a part of this journey with you. Thanks.
Thank you. So
All
reach
right.
out
Bye,
to Whitney.
Whitney.
Bye, Kim.
Go for goals. goforgoalsap.com/Whitney, WHITNIE Wiley, WILEY. So awesome. What I'm going to do, Kim, is I'm going to bring up our next guest also that's going to be joining us. We have Christy Boyd Johnson. She wrote several of the chapters. She is a ghostwriter, as well as she does a lot of other things. We're going to get into that in just a minute. But Christy has her chapter called Ghost, and we're going to get into Christy in just a second. But Kim, I want to bring you back, as I just had to get Whitney out of here so she could go advertise the book elsewhere too, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So anyway, so what would be my first, like, what would be my first sign? I'm in this environment and I'm starting to, do you feel it? Like, what was it that gave you those, what were the whispers? Because you're in this environment that is like so closed, right, to outside world. So what were the whispers? Who were you hearing them from?
So part of the whisper was, like I said earlier, if you don't do something different, this is never going to change. So it was like a download that I got. And then, you know, we've talked about it before where sometimes we can be talking to someone else and get a download, hear a nugget that's like it totally connects to something totally different than what you're talking about. But one of my final little whisper was 9/11. And I remember sitting watching the TV and I was like, you know what? Enough's enough. Life is too short to be this miserable and to live in this type of fear. And so I had to do something different. So when you think about, we often talk about once you make a decision, how things start lining up in your favor. And so 9/11 happened. And in less than 6 months, I was totally out of there, physically and mentally. But you see, I was also working my way out of that mentally before I physically left. Like, I didn't want to leave and then regret it, leave and think, oh, maybe they're right, I should go back in there, because I didn't want to do that. Like, I wanted to have enough knowledge to take enough action to move it. And so that's what happened. And so it's amazing, amazing. We talk about the fearless entrepreneurs, but once you make a decision on what that thing is that you want in your life and your business, and you go all in for it, things just start syncing up and aligning. And I think, I say that because that's what happened in my personal life in this area that was so fearful and so unbelieving and so doubting. But yet other areas in my life, I was able to flourish in spite of that situation. So, I talk about, once you face the reality of the truth of what's really happening, and then you can release that so that you can live with your power and who you are. To me, that's like the fearless freedom that my heart and my soul was singing for, to be on the other side of that and be okay with it and be okay with myself.
I love that. I think that's really important to to get to that distinction, like that place in our lives where we realize that there's something out of alignment. And to get to that place of self-awareness is such a, I don't know, it's just like there's nothing like it. When I got to that place of self-awareness, that was what really helped me to be able to move forward faster, right? Because I no longer had that blockage, those things that were blocking me from moving forward. So thank you for that. I love it. And I know you're going to be able to stick around with us for a little while, right?
Yes, I'm here.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something. I don't know. That's what I'm going to do. Okay. Now I'm going to bring Christy on. Before I bring Christy on, I wanted to talk about our nonprofit. So every book that I put together, 100% of the net proceeds goes to a nonprofit. And so this particular book, so what happens is we got all the authors. I sent an email and I said, what nonprofit do you guys want to support that's in relation to entrepreneurship, since this is an entrepreneurial book? And so everybody voted and we came up with this nonprofit called Lemonade Day. And I'm just going to read what their mission is. I don't have it memorized, but I'm going to read what their mission is. And I love what they do because their mission is to help prepare youth for life through fun, proactive, and experiential programs infused with life skills, character education, and entrepreneurship. So if you want to make a donation to them directly, go ahead to lemonadeday.org. That's lemonadeday.org. I'm typing it as I'm saying it. So lemonadeday.org. And they do really, really great work. So go check that out, check them out. But if you want to make a donation through the book, go ahead, purchase the book. Go to thefearlessentrepreneurs.com, purchase a book. 100% of the net sales from this book are going directly to lemonadeday.org. And I love this because I'm a philanthropist. I love raising money for charities. I've been doing it for, gosh, close to 30 years now, raised a couple $100,000 with our rock band, because I have a rock band. And so raised a couple $100,000 just from that. But I love that because that's one way I can give back, financially, but as well as like, oh my gosh, I got this fly that is going to drive me bonkers, but I'm not going to let you bother me. But it's one way I can give back through monetarily, but then also being able to give back, volunteering is like what I love to do. So I'm glad that you all chose that nonprofit Lemonade Day. And I want to bring Christy up on the screen, on the stage here. So Christy, you are up here. Okay, let me see where I put your name here. Hold on, I'm looking for you. Christy, I moved it. There we go. Christy Boyd Johnson. Okay, so the title of your chapter is Ghost. And so I want you to share with us, like, what does that mean? What is that all about? Christy, welcome, welcome. Oh, let's see, I muted you. Hold on. Because when you're, just so you know, when you're typing, it has a lot of sound. So go ahead and mute yourself if you're not speaking. So I unmuted you. Now I can hear you.
Okay. Awesome. Hi, Linda. Thank you so much for inviting me. I've been looking forward to this all day. The chapter title of my chapter is Ghost. And it's actually a layer of meaning title for me. Because first of all, at the more superficial level, I am a ghostwriter and book development person, book coach. But I grew up feeling like a ghost my whole life. I was born into a family with a very abusive, narcissistic father. And so, imagine being a child and every time you walk in a room, somebody's screaming at you how horrible and worthless you are and how you ruined his life, which I know I'm smiling because I'm so far past it now. To think about it just seems ridiculous to me. But at the time, of course, that had a huge impact in my life and on my brother's life. And so we grew up pretty invisible. We learned to be quiet. We learned to be silent. We learned to be invisible. And we were ghosts in our own home because we risked, if we were seen or heard, being flayed alive verbally. So processing through all that stuff as I've grown and experienced things and everything, ironically, becoming a writer, which is a very solitary profession. You are pretty much alone all the time when you are a writer. And then expanding out into ghostwriting to supplement my teaching income. Teaching is a kind of a funny thing because you think you're in front of a big group of people and you're visible and they see you and they're always asking you questions, and that is true. But in another sense, in a deeper sense, the teacher's rather invisible in the classroom because everything about it is all about the kids and what they need. So you become, or at least my experience of it was I became this incidental kind of person. And sometimes it's hard to know the impact you're having. And then I started supplementing my income by ghostwriting. So yeah, so I called myself a ghost because I felt like a ghost most of my life. And, and I have to tell you, writing this chapter for me was the hardest thing I've ever written. I can write fiction, I can write nonfiction, I can help people, but I had to write about myself, and I just really struggled with it. That was an interesting experience for me.
Yeah, that is interesting. Let's talk about that a little bit, because like, what was it that about the experience that was hard for you? Because as a writer, because you do that, you're very well. She wrote many of the chapters in this book, as well as our next book coming out, Invisible No More, Invincible Forevermore, which both of you ladies are in that one as well. But writing those chapters, and so coming, was it because it was your own chapter? I mean, is that what it was?
I think so. I think I hit levels of, we talk a lot about imposter syndrome, and here I'm thinking, I'm completely stopped. I don't even know what to say about myself that doesn't sound like completely idiotic. And it really stymied me. I rewrote that chapter probably 5 times. I went, no, I have to write it a different way. Oh no, this isn't good enough. So what is that, imposter syndrome or lack of self-aware? It's not lack of self-awareness, but lack of self-esteem more, I think. And yes, and that, nobody wants to know about me. I mean, that's just silly. They might want to read my stories. I write really great stories, but they don't want to know about me. Ugh,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So how did you resolve yourself then? Because we're talking, this book is called The Fearless Entrepreneurs, right? And so fearless doesn't mean you don't have fear. It just means that you have fear, but you go through it anyway, or there might be some things that you don't have any fear about. But, it's like, if I have the fear, I'm going to feel it. And I like to say I do it because I'm scared. Like I specifically will do things that scare me because I know that that's where my growth is going to happen. But so what was it because I remember you turning your chapter, I was like, Christy, where's your chapter? It was like, she's going to have hers turned in first because, she writes. And then I was like, Christy, where's your freaking chapter? And I had no idea this was going on behind the scenes because, that's your behind the scenes for you, right? What was going on? So how did you resolve yourself to say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to do this. I'm just going to bite the bullet, turn in my chapter. What got you there?
I realized that what I was doing to myself, and I decided that, just like you, Linda, I decided I wasn't going to allow fear to get in my way, because that's just fear is nothing. Fear is just a feeling. It's not even real. It's an illusion that's created, and whether it's out in the world or in our own minds, wherever it comes from, it's not real. And so I sat down with myself and I said, okay, I'm going to write a draft, and it doesn't matter if it sucks. I did what I would do if I were coaching a client. I said, it doesn't matter if it sucks. I'm just going to write something down. So I went through a draft, and then I slept on it, and I reread it, and mentally just thought, oh my goodness, that's really bad. But that's okay, because I got some of the sucky out of me, and my second draft was a little better. And a little better. And then I got to where the deadline, I was right at the deadline. I admit that I struggled with my own work. And I think I turned it into you, Linda, right at the deadline. I finally just said, okay, I'm going to just be okay with this. And I'm going to put myself out there and let it be okay. And I'm not letting fear control me on anything. I'm fearless in so many ways, but on this thing, revealing myself, that was a toughie for me.
How did it feel once you turned in your chapter? Like, were you still experiencing, what were you experiencing after you turned in your chapter?
Actually, I think initially I just was like, oh, it's done. And then I got this intense relief. And then I kind of started realizing I was smiling a lot. Like, I did it. I didn't let it stop me. And I think that every time you can give yourself credit for even the smallest little step forward, that yes, you did it. Give yourself credit for that. Celebrate those wins. We don't have enough wins. In our lives, we need more. We need to be fed that way. And sometimes you have to give that to yourself. And I had this experience because I did ghostwrite some of the chapters. I got to meet some of the people before what we're doing now, and every single person is just amazing and incredible, and these stories that are coming out are just astounding and eye-opening, that how everyone goes through these things. And we have to be kind to each other and give ourselves and give them credit for every good thing.
Yeah. Well, I love that. And congratulations for no longer being a ghost, because when I first met you, it was at a networking event. I remember it. And you got up and you talked about how you, I don't know if you were talking about ghostwriting in particular at that time, but, you talked about, the writing and everything. And I approached you, to find out, more about that. And And I'm so glad I did. And I'm glad that you showed up because, ghosts do not show up very well. And so you showed up, as you in all your glory of Christy and who she is, because you have this amazing personality. You're a lot of fun. You're just such a wonderful woman. And for you to move past that and to say, you know what, no longer, I'm not going to do that any longer because I am here. I'm ready to roar, right, Kim? We're going to
Yes.
whisper to roar. Exactly.
Yes, roar.
Yes.
So now, Kim, I want to ask you a little bit about because I know you have a TED talk you've done, and I want to know a little bit about that experience. Like as far as what was that? Was that scary? What was that like to do that? Because again, this is about the fearless entrepreneurs stepping into things that might scare us at the beginning, but getting those results that we're looking for. So, what was that like? That process, and then getting through there. Did you have any fears related to that, and how did you blast through those?
Yes, that was a very interesting experience. I had shared my story verbally with people, but had never shared it on a platform per se. And you're timed by so many minutes. There's all sorts of dynamics going on in the room that are kind of distractions, but then you really need to be aware of them. And just that whole experience. But I would tell you one of the really special moments that came out of that is it helped me start getting, I got really narrowed in because, you only have like 18 minutes to share your story and your idea worth sharing. And so it got me really structured on sharing, like for a speaking engagement or, just helped me collect my thoughts to share my story. And, we've talked about what I grew up in, but one of the special moments is I had so many friends that were in the audience and with them were my mom and my dad and my sister and my family that were there. And so to have that support, knowing what we had gone through as a family, being cut off and unable to speak to my parents for many, many, many years, moved out of my home by the cult leaders' demands at the age of 17 and unable to speak to my parents because of our differences of beliefs. To have them in that audience to this day, it's very emotional. And so that experience was so great. And, I just kept building on that. So, I was listening to Christy when she was speaking. And I think that is one of the things that relates back to us being fearless entrepreneurs. Sometimes we're in our own program. Like, I had the opportunity to speak at TEDx and I was like, yes, I'm in. And then it was like, oh, what do I say? How do I say it? And then what are all these other things going on? And so it was a great experience to really just kind of break out of my shell, have this amazing platform to help inspire people that it doesn't matter what fear it is that you're faced with, or when it tries to trip you up or it triggers, you can move through that in courage and use that to help push you forward. Because I think everybody wants to be at their best and highest place, or at least I want to believe that for them, even if they can't believe it for themselves. And I think that is the power of entrepreneurship, where we can help uplift and inspire other people on their journey.
Yeah, definitely. I love that. And it's so true. And I believe the same thing. I think that some of us don't know it, that we want to live in that higher purpose because we're operating from a place of scarcity or a place
Yes.
of fear, right? Because the needs that we have is like a Maslow's hierarchy of needs was of food, water, and shelter. Those are the first three things. And yet the other day, Saturday, I was interviewing the founder of Priceline.com, Jeff Hoffman, and it was cool because he mentioned about, the needs of people. And here, there's a lot of nonprofits out there who want to help people to get educated and all these different things. And when you have people who are starving, the last thing they're thinking about is getting educated. They just want food. And he's like, wow, I looked at that and I didn't realize that that's what it was all about, really, because, that wasn't his life. And he's like, oh, okay, I hear you loud and clear. So first thing we're going to concentrate on is getting you water, food, and shelter. And then we'll go to the next stage. And so we have to like go through this process. But when you're in that state of mind of lack, that state of mind, like I'm hungry, all I can think about is the lack of food, or like the fact that I'm hungry, that you can't move into that place of that abundance. You don't know what that is. So it's a sad reality that we have on this planet. And with Lemonade Day, like that's our nonprofit, right? The mission there is to give kids this idea that there is something out there, something else out there, and to
Yes.
help them to move into that. Yeah. So Christy, I'm going to bring you back up as the spotlighter here. I just love this new feature. Thank you. Thank you, StreamYard, my favorite. So for those who don't know StreamYard, go to streamyard.com. And so Christy, I know you have a free gift you want to give away. You want to mention, share with us what that is, and I will put it up on the screen here. So what is your free gift today?
Well, anybody who has a book spinning in their head, I should say I've been moving away from being a ghost and becoming a book coach, which I really prefer. And the number one reason I prefer it is because I really like helping other people find that voice within them and bringing it out. That to me that works. That is just so much better than me writing it for them. It comes out so much better and more authentic. So I'm giving away a free 30-minute brainstorming session, no obligation, no pressure. Just jump on with me and we will brainstorm your book and your idea and focus it in exactly where it needs to go. And if you can send me an email at christy@turtleseabooks.com and reference Fearless in the reference part. And so I know that you heard it on this podcast, and you're a fearless entrepreneur too. And in that, I will also be giving away my own personal strategy that I developed to completely cut your writing time in half and eliminate all the overwhelm. Because the number one thing that stops us in writing a book is overwhelm. It is just a huge undertaking. I acknowledge that. We all know that. But it is manageable, and I have a very simple strategy that I will teach you in there also.
Fantastic. Yes. I love that. So go to or email her, Christy and it's KRISTY at turtleseabooks.com. Put the word fearless in the subject line, and so that way she knows that you were watching this Fearless Entrepreneurs. And thank you so much, Christy, for being here. We'll come back in just a second. I just want to make sure that you guys can give away your free gifts. We want to do that first. So Kim, you want to share with us what your free gift is and like, why should I check it out?
Yes, I'm offering a 30-minute strategy and discovery session to talk with you about what irrational fear may be holding you back. You may know what it is and not know how to get on the other side of it. Or you may feel like there's something in my blind spot, but I can't put my finger on it. And we have those things, right? And so I'm offering a 30-minute time slot to get to know you, learn more about your business, and then how can I help you on the other side?
Oh. You guys are muted.
I'm here, but I can't hear Linda.
I was muted.
It's good. Muted.
I know Christy was like this. I was like, do you hear something? What do you hear? And she's like, no. I love it. Awesome. I love it. I love it. Okay. Here's what I said. I'm going to repeat it then, is that you can get that 30-minute discovery session with Kim. It's Kim, KYM, at kimglass.com. Kym, Kym. You notice we all spell our names with a Y. Christy with a Y, Kim with a Y, Linda with a Y.
Yes.
This is the right.
I love
the
it.
right
We're
way.
in sync. Why not?
That's right.
Why not?
Boys to Men, in sync. I don't know. It's all the same to me. Awesome. I love it.
We're the
So last
wise
thing,
ones.
yes, we are the wise ones. I love it. That's awesome. So last thing I wanted to talk about is this book itself, The Fearless Entrepreneurs. And, you can do anything you want in your life, and you chose to be in this book. So I want to hear why you chose this book, because, title's one thing, or there's reasons for everything that we do, right? So I want to start with Kim. What is the reason that you joined The Fearless Entrepreneurs?
Number one, I love collaborating. I love to build connected communities, and I've been in several collaboration books just because I want to partner with other people that are like-minded. And so I just so enjoy that. And then beyond that as well is, I lead teams, and I see a lot of the struggles of fear that takes over entrepreneurs that want to get started on their business, or they want to really dive into the side hustle, and the things that hold them back, such as other people's opinion, not having support. Number one, from their family is huge, because they don't understand what it is that they're wanting to do and why they're wanting to do it. And so I just think this book project was something to come together, to obviously collaborate, but if I can help shorten the learning curve for a new entrepreneur and get them headed out on the right path, and help provide pieces of the roadmap so that they can make a decision to get started or go to that next level, that means the world to me.
That's awesome. I love that, because, for me, it's really about like how, what kind of impact am I making on a daily basis, really? Because I figured out my purpose a couple of years ago, and figuring out my purpose was like only the first step, because after I figured it out, then I had to know, how do I implement that? And how do I actually live it? How do I turn it into something? And for me, it was through this entrepreneurship, this thing called entrepreneurship, that I absolutely love, because the freedom to be us, to step into it and say, this is what I do, this is who I am, this is what I'm all about, and this is the impact I'm making. I think that for me, there's nothing like it. That to me is true freedom. It's just being able to say, this is who I am. Love me, leave me. Either way, it's okay, because I'm still going to be me, right? Because you mentioned like that fear of judgment is the number one fear. And they say that more people are scared of speaking on stage than they are of dying. And I say BS on that. I say more people are scared of the judgment from speaking on stage than they are of dying. Not the actual fear of speaking on stage, but it's that fear of judgment that they may receive from the people from their speaking on stage. Because I experienced it firsthand, 365 days in a row, doing that, going through that journey. And it's just been an amazing journey for sure. And I want to just a little commercial break here. We have Women Action Takers on YouTube. Go to youtube.com/Women Action Takers. And please subscribe to our channel over there. We're in the process of building it up. We're at like 375 or something. And I'd love to see it get to 1,000 by the end of the year. Wouldn't that be awesome? I like to set goals. I don't always attain them. Like we're talking about that right now, right? It's like, I like to set goals. I don't always attain them, but I set them and I go for them. And I don't stress over the fact that I don't attain them, because it's like, it's not what it's about. It's about the journey. I know that, what's that company, Harley Davidson? It's the journey. It's about the journey, not the destination. So Christy, I want to bring you up and find out, like, why did you decide to join the book, The Fearless Entrepreneurs?
Well, first of all, ditto to Kim. That was very well said. Collaboration is the best thing ever. And, but it also occurs to me that fearlessness is essential for everything, not just entrepreneurship. We are the entrepreneurs. We're the CEOs of our own lives, and we need to mind our own business and get out there and create the life that we want to live, that we love, that we have fun and joy and peace in. And you can't have fear and peace at the same time. So it's really a matter of just the tiniest thing. Oh, if you're afraid of a spider, the next time you see a spider in your house, get a glass jar and put the spider in it and take it outside, and you can do it. Little things like that move you into fearlessness. And by the way, I love the word fearless. That your title is brilliant and inspired, Linda.
Well, thank you. And, I'll give credit to that, to God, because he sent me that title. Literally at 3 a.m, I woke up and there it was. And I had to write it down and figure out later what that meant, what I was going to do with it. But and it's the titles, it's interesting because, things come and go, titles come and go, ideas come and go, but we can either grab onto them and do something with them or let them go. And, it's all up to us. I remember a friend of mine, a couple years ago, I have this idea box. And what I do is when I have an idea, I put it in the box to look at later for when I have time for it. And I was talking to my friend about that, and she goes, you know, you can give your ideas away. You don't have to keep them all. And I never thought about that. It's such a simple thing, but I never thought about the fact that you can actually give your gifts, your ideas away. And then she said, but once you give it away, make sure whatever they do with it or don't do with it, it doesn't affect you. Because sometimes we can give our ideas away and the person doesn't do anything with it. So then we can go like, I gave them an idea. They haven't done anything with it. That used to be me. But now I'm like, they didn't do anything with it. I'm okay with it. I gave it away. I don't need the idea back. And if it's something that I want to do later, if I have time for it, I might say, I gave you that idea. You didn't do anything. Are you okay with if I take that idea back? I mean, that's how I would handle it, is just asking them. But that was a really important thing for me to really glom onto, because I would hold on. They were in my idea box. I would literally hold on to these ideas. And every once in a while, when I had time, which wasn't very often, but I would open up the box and I would look through it and I go, oh yeah. Oh my God, that was an awesome idea. I'm going to put it back in the idea box. What was I thinking? Throw it away, because sometimes the ideas, they come and they come and they come. And then, you write them down and realize later, like, that was not such a good idea.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I put it in the idea box to table for later, because it wasn't such a great idea. So let's talk about that a little bit. We have about 25 more minutes before our next people show up. So, I'd love for you ladies to stick around, and instead of this being the Linda show, let's go ahead and chat some more. But that topic of, the ideas, and I want to hear from you. How do you know when something is a good idea or a bad idea? So Kim, you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I have a lot of ideas like you, Linda, but I will say, how I figure out whether or not I'm going to execute on that idea is it something that lights me on fire that I'm going to take action toward? And I will tell you, for my own book, after being in a couple of collaboration books, I was in one collaboration book, and then I thought of the idea of writing my own book of my personal story. Well, I didn't want it just to be my story. I wanted to be able to help people and then provide the roadmap that I used. And so the idea title came to me 15 years before I actually wrote my book. But once it came out, it had my story and the roadmap through the 7 promises of courage. And I share that roadmap in this Fearless Entrepreneur book, because it's a little bit different, because it's for entrepreneurs, but it's a lot of the same methodology that I used to escape that religious cult. And so that was an idea that stayed with me, and I just kept carrying it forward until it finally manifests and, it's tangible, and I have a book in my hand. So you're really just figuring out, is this something that I really want to do? And really trying to decide, is this a shiny object syndrome that I'm experiencing as an entrepreneur? Or is this something that I can leverage of who I am and what makes my heart sing, and add that to my business offerings?
I love that. Yeah, that's good. That's good because that those ideas, like I said, ideas will come and go, and sometimes we will hold on to them for a while. You said 15 years, and sometimes it takes that. It doesn't mean that we're a loser. Like I think of words that I used to call myself, when I say stuff like this. But I'm a loser. I'm a failure. Like I don't finish anything, and all these labels that we name ourselves, but no, it's because you had to ruminate on it. As I said that word earlier today, sometimes I have to ruminate on it. And it doesn't mean you're procrastinating. Sometimes it is, but it's not always. It's not always that. Sometimes it just needs to have time to ruminate and really, really turn into something. I'm going to have to look up the word because I just realized I don't really know. Marinate. That's the word I want.
Marinate.
Okay, marinate.
Yes.
What does ruminate mean? Is it even a word? I'm gonna have to look
Yes.
that one up.
It
It is. What does
is.
it mean, Christy?
It
What does it
means
mean?
it means you're thinking about it.
Okay, so I'm using the right word. That's
Yes.
good. Have you ever had? I was going to a
Yes.
little tangent here. Yes, you have. Yeah, I'm gonna go into a little tangent here. So you know how sometimes you say things and you say things and you say things, and then one day it's like, am I even saying the right thing? So I don't know if you ladies have ever drinking anything, but I used to drink a lot when I was younger. And we used to have these little parties and we play something called quarters, where you would bounce a quarter on the table, and if you bounced it into a cup, then everybody had to drink. Like, this was the game. It was our little drinking game, right? And then we had is like, if you bounced it into a cup, everybody had to drink, and the person who got it into a cup got to create a rule. Whatever rule they wanted, they got to create. It was for the duration of the evening. And so this one guy, he got the quarter in the cup and he said, okay, my rule is anybody who says the word it has to drink. Now, there's one girl here, and I don't think she had any, she might have had like one little drink, and she looked at me, she goes, I go, what do you mean? What does what mean? He said, if we say the word it, what does that mean? What is it? What is it? I go, what it means it. Like, what the hell does she goes, I don't understand. What's the meaning of that word? What does the word it mean? And she was serious. But I was like, I think she just, had a space out moment there.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to my world, people.
Yeah, I once forgot how to spell the, so I understand. It just flew out of my brain. I'm sitting there looking at it going, wait, what? So it happens. It happens. Your brain just backs up and leaves.
How do you spell that? TH?
We go back to the word overwhelm from earlier today.
That's exactly.
That I could spell. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
This segment is brought to you by the word it. IT.
I love it.
So it's so funny. But yeah, that was what I was experiencing in that moment. Is I've been saying this word ruminate. I need to ruminate on it. Like, I say it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, that's my way of saying I need to think about it. So thank you for validating that I'm using the right word. I have been up since 4:30. Christy gets up at 4:30 every day, so it's no big deal. But I don't. I get up at 5:30. But I've been up since 4:30, like just talking all day long, doing these interviews, whether it's me interviewing or it's been a blast. I'm having a great, great time. I'm definitely in my element, but I think I'm at the punch drunk stage now. So I don't know what the rest of this day is going to look like, but who cares? We're not fine. Who cares? Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I want to hear from you, Kim, when you got into your entrepreneurship, this entrepreneurial journey, what was it that was like, what was the biggest challenge that you faced during this journey, and how did you blast through it?
Well, one of the first things that I noticed is, I had been in the corporate world for over 20 years in the telecom industry. And, I just started that journey. And then, you know how it is as you stay there longer and you begin taking on other projects, to where that next project that may be new, but everything else you've been doing is kind of more like a habit. So everything can just add to it. And it's not a struggle because you know how to do whatever that task assignment is as you're adding other things. Well, as an entrepreneur, when I started out, I remember sitting at my desk one day and I was like, how did I do everything that I did in that business and be the go-to person for 3,500 people in our division? And my calendar today is sitting here blank. Like, how did I know what to do in that business? And so I had that moment and I was like, you know what? I got to fill my calendar. And that's one of the things that I help entrepreneurs, like, what is on your calendar and what are you committing to every single day? And that one thing really set my entrepreneurial journey off. And, you know, I was the networker at our corporation. And then as an entrepreneur, you know, I've always loved, you know, I had the lemonade stand in my neighborhood. And I'm so excited that that is the Lemonade Day is the nonprofit that's benefiting from this book launch, because that was really the start of my entrepreneurial journey. My dad was a custom home builder. He was an entrepreneur and he didn't know how to necessarily do every component in the custom home building, but he knew who the people were to connect with and get the best people on the job at the right time. And so as an entrepreneur, those are things that I figured out early on to continuously build a connected community of connections, collaborators, supporters, and get out there and network and let people know who you are, what you do, and how you help other people. It's crucial as an entrepreneur, or even if you're working in another organization, the same applies. And then if you want to start a side hustle, those basic things will help you grow in your business, regardless of where you are or what industry that you're in. So it transfers over, I guess is what I'm trying to say, is it transfers over regardless of where you are in your business.
Awesome. I love that. That is so great. And I have some great news.
Oh, where are we?
We're number 2 in new releases.
Oh, awesome.
Yes, that's so fantastic. Oh my God.
Number 2, new release. Okay.
I was looking at this thing. I was like, what the heck is that? What are they talking about? So there it is. We're number 2 in new releases in motivational self-help, which is really, really cool. I love it. You know, these categories. It's interesting because I'd love to hear your perspective on this, Christy, because you've been in this world, you know, much longer than I have. That's for darn sure. But I heard years ago, probably about 3 or 4 years ago, that when you pick a category, make sure you pick something that a lot of people aren't picking so that you can become number 1 fast. And I said, you know what? I don't want to do that. I don't want to play a game. I want this to be real. Our book is about entrepreneurship. It's about self-help and, you know, personal development. So I chose our categories based on that because I want it to be real. So my question to you is, what's your thought on that? Oh, there we go.
Thank
You're
you.
unmuted now.
I have heard the same thing, and there are definitely many, many games being played out there. But one thing I know you pretty well, Linda, and one thing I absolutely know for sure is you are not a game player. You are very real, and I think that you going for it and us all going for it with you is really cool, and and fearless. Because yes, you can fudge the categories and go for something that it would be unusual in that category and bump your ratings and so forth. There can be some shady stuff, but yeah, I think I admire the fact that we went for it.
And, you know, don't get me wrong. I did think about it. I did think about that, and not this time around, but my first book, you know, Kim is in my first collaboration book, Momentum, 13 Lessons from Action Takers Who Changed the World. And I did consider doing that because that's what I had heard.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
then I had this like come to Jesus moment, right? And I said, you know what? I'm not about playing games to get ahead. Like I love playing games. Games are fun, but not to get ahead. And I am so like to me, having high integrity is more important to me than the success I might get if I cheat.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, like at the end of every single day, I can come back and I can say, I did a good job today. I lived a clean, good life. And I did, I was up on the upboard or whatever the sayings are. I don't know any sayings, but I'm terrible at those things. But I did living my life honestly and with integrity. And that to me is more important than anything. And so it's super exciting that
It is.
I mean, here we are in two categories. We're in categories of self-help, motivational self-help, self-development, and entrepreneurship. And to be number two in that category of the motivational self-help, that's a big deal because we did not cheat.
Right.
We worked hard to get here, and let's get to number one in that. That would be
Yeah.
super cool. Like I don't know, just that self-help arena is such a big deal to me because it really, it only started for me at age 51. And so like my whole self-help journey started at age 51. And I know how valuable it is to believe in myself because I wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
be doing any of the things I'm doing today if I didn't believe in myself. Because when I first, I was in a collaboration book with my mentor, Greg Reed, and that was the very first time I was ever in a book. And I didn't write my chapter. The ghostwriter wrote it. I didn't have anything to do with it. And if I had anything to do with it, it probably never would have happened. So but I took that step to put my name on print and put it out there. And it took me a year to even share it, to even tell anybody I was in a book because I was too scared to tell anybody. Okay, so that's where I was coming from. And then after that, I faced a fear every day for a year, 2015. And my mentor, Greg, he asked me, so what are you going to do about it? You faced a fear every day. What are you going to do about it? And I was like, what do you mean? What am I going to do about it? I think facing a fear every day is plenty. Do I need to do more? And he said, you need to write a book. So I did. I wrote a book called The Year of Fears. And I pushed that one out there, and then the next thing for me, I was like, I'm always asking myself, what's my next natural state of progression? Because I don't want to get stuck where I am. I want to keep moving forward. And so I said, and my next step is to write a collaboration book. I love bringing people together. I'm a community builder. I love this, building community. And so what's one of the ways I can do that? And that's to create my own collaboration book. So I did. And that's when that momentum book was born, was through that. And that was through this journey I've been on, this entrepreneurial journey, this self-development journey to get me to keep up leveling my own self. And so to me, it's like, well, shoot, if we can, impact more and more lives by sharing our stories in these books, putting these chapters together, and each short story has so much gold in it. And that's what I love about the collaboration books. It's been absolutely amazing. And I see our next guest has popped up onto the screen here. Misty, are you able to come on now? You want to give me a thumbs up or not? I want to see what she's got. Okay, cool. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring Misty up today. And wait, where is she? Oh, here she is. Here we go. I got Misty. Welcome. Welcome to the Fearless Entrepreneurs. I don't know if you heard, but we are number two new release in the motivational self-help category. Yay!
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 That's awesome. Awesome.
I know, it's so amazing. Misty's been pulling some heavy shifts where she's working right now. So I want to thank you for being here and being able to pull away. I know it's been tough. She's been interviewing a lot of our authors. Kim's been interviewing a lot of our authors as well. So it's been an amazing journey this week for sure. Or today. No, this whole thing has been absolutely amazing. So Misty, welcome to the stage, and I'm excited to you ladies, please stay as long as you can. I want to have you through the end of. We're going to end in about an hour, but stay as long as you can. I'll be bringing other ladies up to the stage as well. We have a couple more people coming up here and there. But Misty, welcome. I want to spotlight you here for a second. Wait, what am I doing? I'm in a punch drunk state of mind right now.
I just walked out of the hospital, so I could get internet to get on the call. And now I'm sitting in my car, and now it's pouring down rain. So
Oh, it is?
it's
Oh my
okay.
gosh. Oh my
It's all
gosh.
right. It's okay.
Well, at least it wasn't raining when you were outside. It waited till you got in your car.
Yes.
Yes, that's awesome. So welcome and thank you so much. And I see Monica's in the green room there too. I'll bring you up in a little bit, Monica. But the Fearless Entrepreneurs book, we just hit #2 in the new
Yeah.
releases for the motivational
Awesome.
self-help. I know it's so exciting. We're gonna hit #1. I can just feel it. I feel it. I
We
feel
are.
it.
We are.
Yes, definitely. Oh, that's rain that we hear. That's
Mhm.
not
Yes,
you
I'm
playing the
sorry.
drums.
I'm
You're
so
not playing the
sorry.
drums. Oh,
I
no worries. No. Nothing to be sorry about. You're here. We just appreciate that you're here. So I want to ask you, step up and speak out. That's the title of your chapter. And I just want you to share with us, like, how did that title come about? And, what are you doing in the entrepreneurial world? Misty, you got the floor.
Thank you so much for having me, and congratulations to all the authors in the book. Congratulations to you, Linda, the publishing company. It's just such a great, great feat here that we've all conquered together. Step up and speak out. That's just kind of my thing. That's what all Misty Lane is all about, because I hid so many years behind so much shame from some of the decisions of my past that I was just living in a world of toxicity, self-induced shame, loathing. I didn't understand self-forgiveness at all. I didn't even begin to understand self-love and how important it was. So once I learned all those things and learned that by sharing our stories, we can actually help other people with them. Because I used to think it's just, about me and my story, and who wants to hear all that? But once I realized it's no longer about me, that I was already through my storm, I was already a survivor, and now I'm an actual authority on resiliency, and I'm an authority now on domestic abuse. I'm an authority on cocaine addiction. I'm an authority on perfectionism and procrastination and rape and abortion issues. And, having killed someone in a car wreck behind my cocaine addiction, I'm an authority on survivor's guilt as well. So I decided it was time to step up, find the courage to step up and share my story with truth, because that's the only thing that helps people. Sugarcoating things is not going to help anyone out there. And then once I decided to do that, then it was about speaking out, finding the confidence to speak out about it and come out and conquer with resiliency. So that's how my whole step up and speak out's all about. I help. That's what I do. I instill courage for you to face your own truth by stepping up. I instill confidence for you to speak out and share your truth with other people to help them. And then I help you conquer your adversity and come out a winner on the other side.
Yeah, it's so great what you do, because I know that you've definitely, Misty, you have had your fair share of things like crap thrown at you. It's just, and it seems to keep coming sometimes. And I'm curious, like, how do you make it through that? Because you have had a lot of adversity. I know you talk about this on your program, Dare to Share with Misty Lane. And, she talks about adversity, and it's through our adversity that really shows our true character. Like, how do we come out? How do we come out when we're after the adverse situation? So, how do you make it through this? Because you keep going. You are the freaking Energizer Bunny's bunny. It's like you are the major Energizer Bunny, because you literally have had so many things thrown at you, thrown at you, thrown at you. So how do you keep going?
Well, first, let me just say, Linda, you know me well, and you know how many times I've told my story over and over, but just hearing you, I don't know if you noticed, I teared up. Just hearing you say the words, Misty, you've just had things thrown at me. Sometimes we're so busy just in it that we don't even step back and look at it and say, wow, I really have. And it's because I have that mindset that I don't care what's thrown my way, I'm going to get through it. What are your choices? Really, what are your choices? You don't have a choice. You get what's handed to you. You don't change it, right? You don't change a cancer diagnosis. You don't change 2 hurricanes that hit your house a month apart and tear everything up that you've worked for your whole life. You don't change the ice storm that hits you can't change it. The only thing you can do is look for the silver lining in it. become a survivor and an authority and use it now to help someone else. You know, I became the vice president for Chemo Buddies for Life because of my work, because I deal with cancer patients, but all along never knew my mother was going to be diagnosed with cancer, and that really I was going through all of that to be prepared to take care of my mom. I was getting knowledge and learning along the way about cancer because that was my destiny, to be there for my mom as her caretaker. So I just learned to look at the silver lining, to find it at whatever cost. When I killed someone and I was sitting in a jail cell facing a 40-year prison sentence. I mean, I was in medical school studying to be a surgeon, and now I'm facing a 40-year prison sentence. What do you do? How do you pull yourself out? I found something every day, Linda, to be grateful for, even in a jail cell. And if I can do it from a little tiny jail cell, then you out there, you can do it from the big, big world out there. It's finding something. It's looking in the mirror and saying, okay, I know a funny joke and I might can cheer somebody up today. It's maybe saying, and in all honesty and transparency, because that's my personality, it's looking in the mirror and saying, I smoked crack for 10 years, but look at my teeth. These are my teeth. You know how blessed I am? I have my teeth and they're not eroded or gray. I mean, it's finding something every day to be thankful for and building on it, and then learning to give it back, give it back, give it back. Because when you learn that what's being thrown at you, you're being used as a tool to help someone else, then it's not about the pain it's causing you. It's about how am I going to help somebody else? And that's what gets me through it.
Wow. And I love that. Have you always been that way? Because like you even mentioned, like when you were in your jail cell, you were that way. So you've always been that way pretty much, huh?
Well, no, not really. I had, when I was in my jail cell, I was that way, Linda, because that's the only way I found to survive. I had to find that way to survive. And I had help. I had a lot of support from my family. It was actually my 18-year-old daughter that I had just missed her high school graduation because I was incarcerated. And it was actually her that taught me about writing and throwing she said, Mama, everything that keeps you up at night that you're ashamed of or you're embarrassed of, write it down, pray to God, ask him to forgive you, and then toss it away. My daughter is parenting me at this point, and I took her advice and I did it. And it taught me that, you know what? Yeah, I've made some bad choices. I've done some horrible things. I've even killed someone, but there's silver linings there. And if you can find it and turn that bad into a good, my personal belief somehow is it balances it out. And that's what keeps me going. And another thing, Linda, is, you know, I'm a Christian. I have faith. And I was taught little early on in my Christian upbringing that God's not going to give me more than I can handle. So I just tell myself, okay, God said I could handle this, so I'm going to just suck it up and get through it and do what I have to do. And I've always told myself, you know, as parents, we have these horrible thoughts, like if our kids ever taken from us and we don't know where they are, what's happening to them, if they're being human trafficked. I've always known in my heart, I don't think I could live through something like that as a parent. So I keep telling myself, so I know my God's not going to give that to me because he knows I can't handle it, right? So it's really about what works for you, but you got to find it and you got to give back. You have to give it back.
Yeah, you know what's interesting about you saying that is I've heard that saying, you know, God only gives us what we can handle. And I'm like, I must not be able to handle a whole lot because I know I don't feel like what I've been given has been that tough. But like you said, you know, when you're going through it, you're living it yourself, you know, you're just experiencing the experience until, like you said, when I said it, it kind of, oh, she disappeared. Okay, but when I said, you know, the challenges that she's been going through, you know, she teared up from that because hearing it from somebody else's lips, it's different because you know, I'm observing. I'm just an observer. That's all I am. And she's living the life. So I know she was having, you know, they're starting to rain there. She lives in, I think she's in Texas or Louisiana now, but you know, just having challenges over there. So what I'm going to do, Kim, you're welcome to stay. Of course, we got our next set of ladies have shown up. So I'm going to start bringing them up to the stage. We've got Monica Allen, we've got Alice Palom and Coach Lois. And I'm going to bring Misty back up. Awesome. We got the ladies are in the house. Woo, woo. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. I don't know if you guys saw, but we hit number two. Number
Yay.
two. in new releases in the Amazon hot new releases.
Woohoo!
Number 2
Woo!
under motivational self-help. Here we go. The Fearless Entrepreneurs, Fearless, Be More. It's so awesome. It's so exciting. So you're moving up the charts, moving up the charts. We just got one more to go in that hot release, the hot new releases. And then we've got just a little bit more to go in the other categories. Like I just keep looking them up. I'm here. Here you're doing these interviews and everything, but I still keep looking. I want to see what's going on over there. We got to keep abreast of everything. Awesome. So I'm excited to have you ladies up here. I want to first, I want to spotlight Alice. Alice, I'm going to spotlight you here. Hold on a second. I'm having fun here with the moving everything around. There we go. Where's a story about a lovely lady? Okay, I just want to say. So Alice, your chapter in the book, The Fearless Entrepreneurs, is Even a Stroke Won't Stop Me. So you want to tell us a little bit about that chapter title? How did that come about and what is it all about?
Thank you, Linda, and thank you for the opportunity. And thank you, Lois, because Lois introduced me to Linda. It's beautiful how that works. So my story is about the fact that when I got laid off from a big corporation, American Express, I started my company, but then in 2012, I had a stroke, which definitely was a hurdle to get over. And I talk about the fear I had about whether I would have a cognitive ability again to still do my coaching and consulting business, how it felt. And this has been really a great journey because I went back in time and really put myself back into 2012 to remember how I felt as those things were happening.
Awesome. Well, first of all, congratulations for making it through that stroke. My sister had a stroke about 6 months or so ago, and I had never met anybody who had had one before. So I saw, like a little bit of what you may have experienced. I didn't experience it myself, but a little bit of that. And so, making it through that, how did you get through? Because I know your story because I've read it and I've talked to you many times, but the audience doesn't. So how did you make it through that to get back to like where you are today and what you're doing now? You had the successes you had the stroke, and then you had to move back into life, right? So how did you make it through that process?
Well, I would say there was a couple of key factors. One was fantastic friends and family. You'll read in my chapter that at one point I went from the hospital to a nursing home. So a nursing home is a fantastic place to be when you're 48 and trying to figure out what to do. And at the point where they're going to, you're done with your therapy and they're like, okay, you can leave here. But I couldn't go home because I lived alone. I still had very bad double vision, was still not quite, firing all cylinders. My brother and his family said, of course you're going to come to our house. So I spent 9 months living at their house. They had fortuitously just remodeled about 3 months beforehand. So there was a bedroom in the basement for me, and had great support from my friends and people I worked with as well, who started helping me take those baby steps. I had people drive me to meetings so I could start learning how to stand up and talk again. Actually had one friend drive me across the border from Minnesota to Wisconsin so I could do a training class and learn again how to stand up in front of the room and put sentences together and answer questions and learn how to work the room from the perspective that I still have a peripheral vision cut on my right side. So I don't see out of the corner of my eye anymore. So I kind of learned how to move differently and make sure, naturally moving my head back and forth and making sure I see what's going on. And starting to attend my BNI meetings again, Business Network International, where I stood up and gave a 60-second presentation and had my very close friends help me through that and say, okay, they gave me true, honest feedback. Yep, I think you did it great. People that don't know you won't know that you weren't quite you. Kind of that whole great feedback loop.
So I muted myself. So that doesn't work very well. And I just want to say, I don't know if you realize this, but behind you, because of the way the light is running into your room, it's like angels are shining down on you. Do you guys see that too, or is it just me? You see it, Monica?
I see it. Yeah,
I see it.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's incredible. Do you see that, Alice? Are you able to see that?
I do because of the reflection.
Okay, yeah. So I want one of those. I want some of that. Okay. Give me some of that.
My office has whiteboards all the way around the edges. So I'm actually in my living room because the whiteboards do not do well with light reflecting off of them.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's no fun. That's no fun. Well,
Yeah.
I'm so happy for you that you have moved out of that space. Are you 100% back to where you were before, with the exception of the eyes?
I would say probably like 95%. The eyes are the biggest piece, but I still trip over. I shouldn't say I really trip over my words, but I sometimes have to pause for a minute and say, "What is that word I'm looking for?" In my head, of course, and in I was about to say physical therapy, but not physical therapy. The other therapy they do, they gave me tricks to like think around the word you're trying to think of. What are things related to it, so you can come up with that. So I just kind of learned that adaptive pause as my mind looks for that word, and I feel I'm blessed.
Can you give me that tip, because I need it every once in a while? Like, what is that tip? Please share.
Think about all the other words that relate to it. So it's not frog,
Okay.
but it might be amphibian or green, or like think of what the frog is, what you're trying to describe, and then by magic that word comes to you.
Okay. I like that. I have never thought of that, because yeah, every once in a while I do the same thing, but that having that little tip will help. So I interrupted you because I just had to get that before we
No,
could
it's
move
fine.
any
Well,
further.
I was just going to say that I look at that as a positive now, because no matter how old I get, my excuse will be the stroke, not how old I am. But I
I know,
can't remember a word.
right. Like I used to color my hair blonde, and because there's so many blonde jokes out there, right? When I would say something dumb, I would say, "Oh, I'm having a blonde moment," not realizing that I'm not blonde. And I know that's politically incorrect, people. I do know that, but that was back in the day before there was a word called political correctness. Okay, so I'm repeating something from back in the day. It's still incorrect, but I'm punch drunk right now because I've been doing this since like 4:30 in the morning, and so I'm so excited. And we made number 2. That's another reason why I'm punch drunk. I get like this when I get super duper excited about stuff, and that's where I am today. And so I want to thank you all for being here, for being part of this. You're part of the launch, part of the book, part of the process that we're turning this. It's a best-selling book already. We're on our way to becoming number 1. So we just need to hit that in one category, and then we did it. But then we hit it in more categories, and we just keep going. That's the thing about entrepreneurship. Like, we have this dream and desire, and then we turn it into a reality. And that's one thing I love about entrepreneurs themselves. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to move over to Coach Lois. I'm going to put you up there, spotlight you, Coach Lois. How are you doing today? And good to see you for a second time today.
Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
I can. I hear somebody typing. So let me see. Is that you, Lois? Are you typing?
I'm hands-free.
Oh, okay. So what are you typing with?
Yeah, right. My toes.
Yeah, exactly. I can hear you. Okay. So there's just some kind of weird sound. It's a clicking. Monica and Alice, do you hear it?
I hear it, but
yeah, it's a weird clicking, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's.
Well,
I feel like you're on a horse. Are you on a horse right now? I know I'm cracking you up. Can you go to a different room? Because the room you had earlier was better.
Actually, I'm in the same spot.
You are?
Yeah. Yep.
Maybe try to mute and let us make sure it's you. Try to mute.
Oh yeah, okay, let's see. Hold on a second. Let's see. Yep. Okay, so it's coming. There's some kind of can't unmute your guest. Let's see. Okay. Okay.
I wonder if it's a fan or something blowing something.
Yeah, there's no noise where I'm sitting, but I do hear a little clickety clack. It might be my reception because I am on my cell phone, like I shared with you. I'm moving, so
yeah.
I have a lot of things happening this week. So today has been a little bit full.
Yes, it has, and you're here. But thank you for showing up today. Exciting. It is a little. I feel like you're on a horse.
Well, how about this? Why don't you go to Monica? I'll go out and come back in.
Perfect. Awesome. Okay, so we'll see you in a little bit. So Monica, okay, I really felt like we're riding horses, and like, where are we going to go? Where are we going to go? So Monica, welcome. I'm so excited to have you in this book. First, where I want to go before we even talk about your chapter, I want you to share with everybody like your journey of even joining the book.
Sure.
Okay. Because yeah, your journey of that in itself is like, it just goes to show that, you know, like facing that fearlessness. I mean, moving yourself into this fearlessness. And so I want you to share your story about joining the book.
Sure. So joining the book was just a culmination of things being done in the right timing. It all kind of began with my husband. He and I having a conversation one day, and he was like, you know, you really should talk to people about your story. And I said, what do you mean? I don't have a story. And he's like, no, go back to your childhood. You have a story to tell. And he kind of went through these things that I had told him about over the 18 years of our relationship. And I thought, I guess I do have a story. And then I met Linda. I met you, Linda, on Clubhouse. And in just listening to you talk and tell your story, and you were talking about the book, I thought maybe I should step in and tell my story because it could be inspirational to other people who may have had a similar experience as I did growing up. And so that's how it all began. And I'm so happy that I took that leap of faith as I've done multiple times in my life, but I'm so grateful that I took this one. And I'm just ecstatic today.
That's awesome. What I love about that is that you, if I'm going to, I'm going to interpret it the way I will, and then you'll tell me if this is right, right? So you heard my story and it had an impact. And then you said, wait a minute, if I tell my story, it may have an impact. Is that kind of what happened?
Yeah. And I mean, I think the thing is with you, Linda, is you pull out stories in people anyway. So you're very open with your story, and therefore other people are willing to share their story. And I'm just talking about simply on Clubhouse in a very, you know, a room that's an hour and you have multiple people who come up and talk. And yes, I think in sharing a story, you impact people that you have no idea that you've impacted. You may never even know. And there are people that you've shared your story with in those rooms that you may not even know you've impacted them, but you have in some way. And so I felt the need, especially with Ethan telling me that too. Like I was just like, wow, I really need to share. And I just never thought about it before because I felt like I just lived my life. My life wasn't horrible. My mom was great. My grandmother was great. But there was more depth to me than I even really knew, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely does. And it comes out in your chapter for sure. And that's what I love is that you put pen to paper and you just really knocked it out of the park. And so the title of your chapter, Note to Self, you want to share with us, like, what does that mean? What is that all about?
So when you told us that we had to come up with a name for our chapter, I was perplexed. I thought, oh my gosh, I don't know what to call this chapter. And I thought about playing off of fearless or fear, and it just didn't feel right. But what I realized as I went back and read through my life story written there is that there were certain pivotal points in my life where I just made a little note to myself that this wasn't going to happen to me, or that I would operate differently than someone else in my past or in my life. And so that's how the chapter became called Note to Self, because I had literally making these mental notes to myself throughout my life to live differently.
And did you find yourself saying note to self? Like, did you, like when something would happen, would you actually say that? Because I do stuff like that. I'll say things out loud. Oh, you don't? Okay.
I do.
I'm going to retract my,
No,
statement.
no, I talk to myself constantly, and I say I think out loud, and I do. I mean, I think throughout my day out loud. It drives my husband crazy, but so he never knows when I'm talking to him or I'm just talking to myself. But in this particular point, just growing up throughout my life, I never said that out loud. But writing this chapter for this book, I really realized that these were things that were pivotal points in my life that I made a note of here. So,
and now you can say them out loud.
Yes.
Note to self.
Note
Yeah,
to self.
it's interesting for me that there are some things in life that happens that I just like some things I just have to say out loud, it's like some if I'm concentrating on something and I really want to make sure I hear it. Sometimes I have to just say it out loud, and that's just what works for me. So we do what works, right? We make these pivots in our lives, in our business journey. And so I would love for both of you. I'm not sure if Lois is going to be able to come back because she's having that problems with her phone being able to come back. So I would love for you to share with us like your entrepreneurial journey. How did you become an entrepreneur, and how did you make that happen? And have you had any kind of challenge along that journey? If so, how did you blast through the challenge?
Oh, wow. So I started my first business in fourth grade, and it was, at the time I didn't even really see it as a business. It was just me deciding that I lived in a small town, and it was me deciding that I wanted to sell candy, freeze pops and sodas out of my house because all the kids in my neighborhood were too far from a store. Like we could not walk to a corner store or anything like that. So I thought, well, this is my opportunity to make a little pocket change, as my grandmother would call it. And so that's what I did. They would take me to the store. I think my mom gave me $10 to start or something. I went to Walmart, bought the stuff, prepared it, put the freeze pops in the freezer. And that was my first business. But I knew in my heart, even though I heard over and over again from my grandmother, go to school, get a good education, get a good job. I heard that over and over again. And I did that. I graduated from high school. I went to college, and I got a really great job out of college in the insurance industry. The school I went to had a 97% placement rate for jobs. And I actually researched that in college and majored in that because I wanted to have a good job when I got out of school. It wasn't about passion. It wasn't really about interest. It was just I wanted a job when I got out of school. And so I did that. And it was good for a while. I felt challenged, but then that entrepreneurial bite was still there, and I always knew it was there. I had told the gentleman while I was in college, I'm like, I want to have my own business someday, but I just don't know where to start. And he said, don't worry about it. It'll come to you. And sure enough, down the road, it did. And I mean, the biggest challenges for me in getting started, my husband and I actually started our first business together, just literally sitting on my bed thinking like, what could we start a business doing? And we ended up in the fraternity and sorority industry, making custom embroidered gear for people. And because we were both in organizations, and so we filled a need that we had. And so that's how we started. I think the biggest challenges I faced is honestly working with my spouse is a challenge. It's gotten better because we've learned each other better, but that was a challenge. And then honestly, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs deal with this, unless you're in a tech space and you have lots of investors, is cash flow. Funding can be tough, and we have literally bootstrapped the entire way. So that's been tough.
Wow. So as far as like working with your husband, how have you guys, like as far as the communication goes, have you guys how did you make it through that? Or you're not there yet?
No,
We're making it through right now.
We are much better. I think one of the things we had to do is figure out who did what and really separate those tasks. Now, do we go into each other's spaces sometimes? Of course, because he may ask my opinion on a marketing piece. I might ask his opinion on something that I'm doing. But we had to really kind of divide up the roles and kind of stay in those roles. And then also just make sure that we always, in the forefront of our mind, know that our relationship was first. And sometimes he and I are both very, very strong willed. We both always think we're right. And so we had to realize that we're not always right, and we have to figure out how to compromise. So it's very much like any relationship, right? You have to learn to compromise and come to an agreement on something. And so that's what we've learned to do. We don't have it perfect, but we do not have the type of arguments that we did in the beginning. That's for sure. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing is you figure it out, right?
Yeah.
You come to agreements, you talk it out, it's just like any type of relationship, that business relationship. So you've got your home relationship. How do you keep that separate, your home relationship from your business relationship? Or does it mesh together? Or like, what do you guys do with that?
So ours meshes together, and we've come to grips with that. At one point, our business was in our home. So we literally worked in our basement and we lived upstairs. But then we eventually bought a commercial space, moved the business out. That was very helpful, especially once we had kids. That was a great divide. But also adding kids to the mix was a whole nother process of getting that compromise together, of juggling that. So it's been a challenge. It's been a challenge that we've overcome, and we're actually trying to figure out how we can kind of package this for people to help other people, because it is a process, and we've had to figure out the process of getting past some of those headbutt moments, and honestly letting go of ego. I think that can be the biggest thing. I mean, because as entrepreneurs, we do think that we know a lot, and you just don't always know. So that's what we've had to come to grips of. It's like, you don't know everything, I don't know everything, we both contribute, we both work hard. We're team Allen, so let's just be team Allen.
That's right. Hashtag Team Allen for the win.
Yes.
That's right. I love that. Well, thanks for sharing that. And that's cool if you come up with a way to help other business, other couples who run a business together, teaching them how to have those conversations to have success. Because, if you have fighting or disagreements or arguments or what have you in your business, and then you got to go home to the loved one, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's not really going home. I mean, you're like, I'm already, okay, we went from there to here together, So, oh my gosh. So more power to you. Yes. Yes.
And one other thing I want to add is, so we had to come to grips that our board meetings, conference room was sometimes honestly our bedroom, because we will go to dinner and we'll say we're not going to talk about business. But inevitably, he and I are both so passionate about our business, we can't help it. It's like literally our child. And we both love it so much. We love the process of building it. So we can't not talk about it, no matter how hard we try. So,
well, I guess the one advantage to that is that you're both talking about that and you're not bored with it. Whereas like a husband and wife team, that like with my husband, I'm the entrepreneur, he's not. And so I don't want to bore him with it. And like, there's really, if I talk to him about it, I'm all excited about it. And he's like, why are you so excited about it? Like, so,
yeah.
So it's interesting, right? Because you both because you're doing the same, you're building it together. So there's that benefit right there as well. Well, congratulations on that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move back over to Alice. We're going to pull Alice in the spotlight there. So Alice, I want to share with us, like, as far as your entrepreneurial journey, what kind of challenges? I know like you had the stroke, but had there been additional challenges along the route, and how did you blast through those?
Good question. I think, the stroke has been such a central conversation point in this last year. I haven't thought about some of those other things, but I think when I first started, so I was a corporate vice president, then I was laid off. And after spending 17 years at a company running a department, which in a company that size is really like running a business, we had to be revenue neutral. We couldn't make money off the other parts of the company, make sure there's enough work coming in, resources, contractors, employees. It was like running a business just inside a bigger business. That I had a great background to now go and do my own business and help other people. I think the challenges have been, not unlike a lot of us, the pivoting that we did recently on all of my stuff was happening on in person. My networking was in person. I had been using Skype with some of my clients that weren't located in the same state that I was, but it wasn't highly accepted. So pivoting now that online is much more accepted and embraced, that was one of the successes to a challenge of what do I do now? Can't be running around teaching in-person classes, going to in-person networking events. How can I switch that up? So I'd say that was probably one of the challenges that a lot of us faced at this time.
Yeah, and that's a big one, right? Because it's interesting. One thing, there were some good things that came out of the pandemic and some bad things that came out of a lot of bad things too, right? But one of the good things that for me is like, I've been using Zoom since, I don't know, 2014 or 2015, and people didn't know what it was. They were scared to hop on there.
Yeah.
Now everybody knows what it is. And like, just everybody knows what it is. Even my dogs can get on here probably. And, so that's one thing that's been good, because now what happened is, because of the pandemic, I expanded my network.
Yeah.
Because I used to hold in-person networking events once a month, and now I host the Zoom networking events. And now I'm going to the, not hybrid model, but in a way, like I'm going to do the Zoom meetings and the in-person meetings, right? So now we have different, so we had a challenge that we turned into something to benefit and to keep carrying forward.
Yes.
Right, because it's something we can continue to do. We don't have to give it up, because now that we've experienced it, we can continue on with it. And so through those pivots that you've made, this last year and a half with the pandemic and everything, what of those pivots that you did make will you keep, if any?
I do my workshops on Zoom, so I will keep doing that because I attract people that are not within driving distance, right? I've been talking about maybe starting to do a couple in person as well, because I do have people around me. They're like, we want in person, we want in person. So kind of like you're talking about, do some in person, but keep up the Zoom, because I now have clients. So I'm in Minnesota. I now have clients from California, other parts of the country. I had the opportunity to speak at a conference that was run out of India in February. That wouldn't have happened before. And that created the opportunity to create some great relationships there. I've got a new connection to Australia now that I've been working with. So all those cool things have happened. I'm going to keep that part up. Like we talked about, it's now accepted. People don't say, "Oh, I don't want to do that. You can't come to me. I don't want to. I don't want to work with you." So it's been just fantastic. So all of that stuff I'm going to keep.
That's awesome. I love it, because I think that that's been definitely been a great benefit for us, in this pivotal. Yes, it is a pivot. It's a pivotal. I had this problem earlier. I said a word that I've been saying for, I don't know, years. And I was like, is that a word? I had to ask them, is that a word? Because I was having like one of those brain moments, because my brain is mush right now, I think. So, but what I want to know from you. So first, I didn't ask you guys, you ladies, ahead of time, but do you have something that you want to give away? Do you have like maybe a consultation call or something like that you would like to, give away to the audience? If so, let us know what it is. Oh, Alice, I saw yours. Okay, share with us what yours is.
So mine is a free 30-minute consultation. Talk about your business. What are some things you might need to work on? Give you some tips that you can go away and do something with. I so believe in giving value, not just, hey, let me talk to you for half an hour and try to convince you to hire me. This is, let me give you some valuable information that you can go off and do something with. So it's a 30-minute consultation. I put that link in the chat there. There you go.
I got it. Okay, yes, 30-minute consultation with Alice. Did I do that right? 30-minute with Alice consultation, whatever. It's the words are there. They're not all spelled right, but they're there. And so you can figure it out, right? Calendly, ampyourbiz/fearless-consult. Awesome.
Right.
Thank you so much for that. And congratulations on being a best-selling author, #2 in the new release category.
And to you guys as well.
I know, it's so fabulous. I love it. It's so much fun. So Monica, did you have something that you wanted to, give away, a call or something like that? I'm putting you on the spot, lady, but is there anything you
It's
wanted to
okay.
do?
Well, what I do give away a free checklist, 21-point checklist, and it's primarily for people who want to start a business. It walks you through launching your business. By the end of the 21-point checklist, you will have a business launched. Now, I'm not saying you're going to be making money yet, but you will have a business launched. So I'll have to get you the link to it here in a second, Linda, but it also is on my Instagram link, Beacons, the link on my Instagram, which is @Stitched for Success is the IG. It's on my link there that you can download, that you can get that. But I'm going to send it to you.
Okay,
Actually,
awesome.
I just realized I haven't actually created a link for that. But if you DM me and you just say checklist, I'll email it to you. I email it to people. So just DM me in Instagram and I'll email you that checklist. So
awesome. So go to that. You have the free 21-point checklist from Monica Allen. Go to her Instagram. She's at Stitched for Success, and go check it out. And don't forget to buy the book.
yes,
We're going to
buy the
buy the
book.
book. That's right. Buy the book, thefearlessentrepreneurs.com. It's entrepreneurs with an S.com. And we're at number 2, the new releases in the motivational self-help category. So that's exciting. We're looking forward to getting to that number 1. And I want to thank you ladies so much for being here today. This is fabulous. I just love everything you're all about. And, you know, this compilation of authors for me has been incredible because I just love everybody who's involved in it. And I think that's really important because the energy that I have with it, you know, it helps, right, to translate to everybody else and vice versa. Everybody's energy is inside of this book. And it's such an incredible compilation of stories, you know, the pitfalls that some have gone through and like how they've come through them, you know, many different stories that come up in this. And I want to thank you ladies so much for being here today. And let's keep pushing it. We want to get to that number 1. So keep getting out there and pushing the book. I want to hit it tonight before we go to bed. Okay. So let's make it happen.
That would be great.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I feel like it's like a telethon, like, you know, one of those, like a Jerry Lewis telethon or something, but this is just about a book. Okay. So thank you so much. We're going to dismiss you ladies down to the green room, and then I'm going to bring up our next 2 ladies. So thank you so much and have a great day. I'll see you on the internet.
You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Alice, I'll see you on Clubhouse.
That is right.
I know, I'm excited. See you later. Oh, wow. It's been an amazing day. You know, we started at 5:30 a.m. this morning. Pacific time is when I got started with my first interview. And it's, you know, from Crystal Richardson, the red carpet empress, and then going to other interviews. And it's just been amazing with Sherry Leopold. We've been doing this for 4 hours. Clubhouse, we had a clubhouse room this morning for 4 hours. We're going from this to another clubhouse room tonight for a couple. I'm just going to go for 3 hours. Then I'm going to be done. Then I'm going to go sleep because I'm a little bit tired. But this has been amazing. And I've been just loving the interviews that we're having. The authors in this book, The Fearless Entrepreneurs, you know, Fear Less, Be More, absolutely incredible compilation of stories of entrepreneurs who have gone through some challenges in their lives and how did they make it through those challenges. If you want to get your copy, we got it available for 99 cents US, and then also for $14.99 for the print. So the 99 cents is for the Kindle version. And I wanted to share that 100% of the net proceeds from the sale of this book is going to an organization called Lemonade Day. 100% to Lemonade Day. So you can go to lemonadeday.org if you'd like to make a donation, or if you purchase the book, 100% of the net proceeds will go to them. And I'm just going to read here really quickly, Lemonade Day, that they are a 501c3 nonprofit charity. Their mission is to help prepare youth for life through fun, proactive, and experiential programs infused with life skills, character education, and entrepreneurship. And so I'm super excited that they're our nonprofit because it's about entrepreneurship. And this book is written by entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs, is sharing their story. So if you want to, you know, participate in that and have a way to donate to Lemonade Day without donating to Lemonade Day by purchasing a book, please do that. And again, we're number 2 right now in the new releases for motivational self-help. I'm going to look there like every 10 minutes or so to see if we've gone into number 1 yet. Looking forward to that happening. But in the meantime, I'm going to welcome our next ladies to the stage. We have Sally Green and Amy Lee Pelvis. Amy Lee. Amy, welcome ladies to the stage. It's so good to see you here today. And did you hear that we got number 2 in that?
Yeah, that's awesome.
We're almost there. We got 1 more to go. And I know we're going to hit it before I go to bed tonight for sure. Hopefully it'll be really, really soon here. And I need to clear my board here so I don't bring the wrong stuff up on the screen. So give me just a second here. So what I want to do first is ask you, Sally. So you have your chapter in the book is called What's Your Plan, God? And I would love to hear from you. Like, what is your chapter all about and how did that title come up? Sally, go ahead and share with us.
I talk about at the beginning of my chapter, my why. why I believe I do what I do. And I talk about a little bit about how when I was an infant, I was a toddler at 18 months old, I reached up and grabbed a pot of boiling water from the stove, and I burned myself from my armpit down to my feet. And they took me to the hospital. I was in the hospital for a couple of days, and at that time in the 60s, they didn't have the burn units and stuff like they do now. And so I caught a staph infection in the hospital, and I was in a coma for 3 days. And they told my parents that they didn't think I was going to make the night. And I don't remember any of this, but these are stories that I've heard throughout my whole life. And so I've always had this this desire to, maybe it is being fearless, because I figure, all right, God must have me here for a reason. And so my whole purpose and my whole journey has been trying to figure it out. And so the way I figure it out is by starting a new business. So in my 20s, I started selling makeup. In my 30s, I was doing a couple of different things, and I talk about all of them in the book. So pick up my chapter. I'd love to have you read it. But it's all about, what's your plan, God? Where are you leading me? And what's going to happen next?
I love that. And so that that accident that happened, how did that, so you don't remember it at all?
No.
But do you know, because even though we might not remember something, there might be some residual, thoughts about it. And I'm just curious, do you have any fears around, like, around the stove or the fires or anything like that now that?
No, I never have. The thing that I remember, and I remember even as a child, that I've always felt spiritual. I've always felt the need that I had, that God was with me, or in me. And I remember, and I don't tell this story in the book, but I remember I was like 5 or 6 years old, and I went and snuck into my mother's room, and I picked up the telephone, and I dialed the operator, and I asked to talk to God. And I'm like, I need to talk to God. And the woman on the other end is like, excuse me, what do you want? I said, I need to talk to God. And here's this little 5-year-old. And my mother comes running in, and she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I have questions for God. I need to talk to him. She's like, hang up that phone. And she's screaming at me. But, I have questions. God, what's my plan? Why am I here? What's going on? And even as a young person, I've always felt that spiritual connection. And I think that, because of that near-death experience as a toddler, that, I don't know, maybe I did die and came back, and maybe I do have a purpose. But so my whole journey has been, and my whole thing in life has been trying to figure out, okay, what am I supposed to do next? And, there have been times when it's been really hard, or I've gone through, grief or problems are coming up, and I'll say, why did you let me live, God? Why didn't you just take me? If I'm supposed to, why am I suffering so much? Especially through the teenage years, when we're going through all that stuff. And that's another book. But yeah, so that's kind of my story.
Yeah, that's interesting. And she was referring to the other book that we have coming out August 30th, which is called Invisible No More, Invincible Forevermore, where she tells her story about some childhood things that went on. So yeah, you'll have to tune in for that one, August 30th. Super excited about that one as well. And, thanks, Sally. And it's interesting because, asking that question, why am I here? Why did you spare me? Right. That kind of thing. And do we ask those questions when things are going well? No, we usually ask those questions when things aren't going well, right? And so it's interesting that, when that comes up, like how something will show itself to us to remind us why.
Yeah.
So you've had that sort of experience, like what you're doing now in your business, like you're kind of experiencing that right now, aren't you, through your business of what you're doing?
Yeah, well, my business has all shifted, totally since, 2 years or a year and a half at this time. I mean, during COVID, my husband and I had a cleaning and janitorial company. So, and I had spent 20 years of my life just doing that in my own little cocoon world, not knowing that there was anybody outside my my little sphere of friends and family, and not worrying about it, but also not taking care of myself. And so I spent years just doing for everybody else, taking care of my business, taking care of my husband, taking care of everybody else. And then when COVID happened, I was like, wow, you know, I've really neglected me for a long time, and I need to do something different. And I made the decision, March 25th, 2020, I made that decision that I was not gonna be that person I was before, and I was gonna do something different. And so I embarked on this journey of what I call self-discovery and self-care. And I've been, that's kind of been where I've been for the last year and a half. And I've been slowly building and adding and having a blast with all of these people that I never knew existed a year and a half ago, and meeting all these great, fantastic people. And it's been just so much fun, including Linda.
Awesome. Of course. Of course.
Of course.
Yeah, because I've been one of the ones you met probably about a year ago.
Yeah.
Maybe just about a year ago or so. Yeah. So it's definitely been a journey. And I love that how, you know, we can take a situation, you know, like the COVID situation where the whole world has experienced it, you know, but to take that situation and see what I can turn it into something good. So I can sit back and I can, you know, just wallow in it, or I can see if there's something that I can turn around. And I'm not speaking about every single person out there. You know, like we all have our own experiences, and I know that there's been a lot of tragedy through COVID. But for those who aren't experiencing firsthand the tragedy, what are we doing with that tragedy, you know, in our lives, in our own lives, and to turn it into something? And so that's what you did, is you had to flip the switch. You had to go to some different route, and you've completely, you know, switched it. And so are you guys, because the COVID ban is getting lifted, you know, here and there and everywhere, but not everywhere. And so are you now back to the cleaning business, or what's going on
Yeah.
with that?
Yeah, we're doing that. My husband kind of took it over. He's doing a little bit more of the outside kind of work, the window washing and rug cleaning, and you know, he loves the power tools guy thing. So he, you know, he wanted to do kind of that. So he was doing, you know, a lot of for our customers and for other people, doing a lot of different things. But now we're doing a little bit more of the house cleaning. We're adding things out. And it's funny, I think I was talking to somebody the other day, and how those old habits start coming back once you start getting back into the swing of things. And I'm realizing that I'm getting back into the habits that I had before COVID that I didn't like. And I'm not eating correctly. I'm not exercising as much as I should be. I'm, you know, maybe drinking a little bit more than I should be. So it's like, okay, you know what? I need to really shift my mindset again and make that decision and start all over again. And it's hard. It's hard because, you know, now we're going back, and it's like, all right, it's so easy to get back because you were just so used to that. And now the new stuff is still new. The new habits are still new. So it's just trying to figure all that stuff.
Yeah, it's just part of the process, right? It's
Yeah,
just part of that process. Yeah, well, thank you for that. I want to go ahead and bring Amy Lee up. So Amy Lee, at least I'm going to put your thing up here. Your chapter title, Stand Up for Your Beliefs. You want to share with us like what that is all about? I love your story in the book, you know, of course, but I know what it is. Not everybody else does. So go ahead and share with us, like, what is that? Stand up for your beliefs.
Yeah, so obviously, you know, that means a lot of things for a lot of people. But at the end of the day, you know, in this specific instance that I wrote about in the book, you know, I work in the medical field, but I'm not a doctor. I'm not a physical therapist. I'm a pelvic health specialist and a massage therapist with a background in nursing, energy healer, lots of other things. But when you don't have certain letters behind your names, people just don't listen to you. So standing up for what I know to be true, what I know can help people, what I've seen change lives on my table, and then taking those things to medical professionals in general. But in this specific instance, it was not well received. I was looked down upon because, you know, I'm not as educated as them, or I don't have the right letters behind my name. And I just didn't let that, deter me. I know that if they, just would listen to me and just would experience these things, but at the end of the day, they don't have to believe me for me to know that it's true. And for me to continue my work. I don't need them to believe me. It would be wonderful if they did. But it's just more, it's not much of the belief. It's more about the open-mindedness, that people just have to think that maybe there's something else out there that can help me that I've never heard of before. And maybe there's something else out there for my clients or my patients that can help them that I can't do. So more about collaboration. And obviously when you believe in yourself, then it's clearly makes it much easier to do your job or anything, that you want to do.
That's for sure. Yeah, because believing in yourself, if you don't believe in yourself, it's going to be harder for them to believe in you, right? Because I believe that confidence, that confidence that we have with whatever it is that we're talking about, that confidence is exuded when we speak about it, and like our body language and everything. And if we don't have confidence in it, and that that belief in ourselves, why should anybody else believe us?
Right.
Right. So I know you had a situation, like you talk about it in the book. If you could just like briefly talk about the situation of this one doctor at
Sure.
yeah, please share that.
Yeah.
Don't get too much detail, so we want them to buy the
No,
book.
not too much detail. Well, essentially, I specialize in women's pelvic health, and women's pelvic health is still dominated by male practitioners. And even the women who go through, medical school, they're taught by men in a system that was created by men. So, that it's a completely different aspect, coming, or a completely different area of understanding when you're talking with a woman about women's health versus a man about women's health. So actually, this group of doctors was primarily women. There were only 2 men in a group of, I think, 12. But there was one male doctor in particular who was new to the country and new to the practice, and he just wasn't listening. He just kept firing questions off at me, but not giving me time to answer them. And then he made a joke and he asked if my therapy can help with erectile dysfunction, which it can, but I don't work on men. So he kind of like nudged the other male doctor and said, "Oh yeah, she can help you with your erectile dysfunction." So he did not come with an open mind at all. He was not intending to listen or hear anything I had to say. So finally I just asked him, are you gonna like give me an opportunity to answer, or do you just want to hear yourself speak right now? Because I'm literally trying to show you something that can help your patients in the long run. But he was just, very full of ego. And when people are like that, you can tell that they feel threatened, or that they, at very least, they are self-conscious about some aspect of themselves. And it could have been several things that made him, not want to listen, ego, sensitivity, his own, just his own comfort level, within the practice and things like that. But I knew that his reaction was not a reflection of me or a reflection of my work. It's completely, him projecting what he felt about himself outwardly. And that's, what we all do. So you just kind of hope that you have to pay attention to what you're projecting, because everybody knows how you feel about yourself. If they have emotional intelligence and if they are paying attention to how you're acting, we can all tell where your hangups are. So I didn't let that deter me. I just knew that was more about him than it was about me.
Yeah, that's awesome that you having that insight into that, because a lot of people might not have recognized that, right? And then maybe had anger, or like maybe you experienced some different emotions, but still you were able to realistically look at that and say, okay, this isn't about me. This isn't about me at all. So congratulations on that, because I don't know if I would have felt the same way. So
Oh, I was mad. I just waited till I got out to my van to cuss him out.
well, good for you, because I don't know I don't have any idea. Fortunately, I wasn't in that position, so I didn't have to find out.
Yeah, no, I just waited till it was that time.
Yeah, what I'd like to do is I'm not sure because I think the live streaming is going to stop at 4 hours. So we have 8 minutes left. So
Sure.
before we go there, I want to make sure that we can, you guys share with us what it is that you have to offer. Because Amy, you have a 20-minute discovery call. You want to talk about that and what does that look like? Who is an ideal person to hop onto that discovery call?
So yeah, I mean, if you are experiencing any type of pelvic pain, if you, I work with women to conceive naturally, also with a wide variety of pelvic health issues, but also healing through the womb space. Maybe you don't have a specific pelvic health issue, maybe you're not trying to conceive, but you really want to come into your own, your feminine power. You want to heal through that womb space and be reconnected back to your body. Those are, perfectly the women that I work with. The 20-minute discovery call usually ends up being a half hour. And if you're interested in that, if you're interested in, Reiki or energy healing, that can all be done virtually too.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for that, giving that gift to our audience. And then I'm going to bring Sally up here, spotlight you. And Sally, you want to talk to us about what your gift is today?
Yeah. Hey, everyone. So what I did during COVID was I like to say I became a self-care rock star. And so what I've done is I've created a show right here on YouTube called the Self-Care Rock Star Show. And I invite people to come in and interview them on healthcare and self-care topics. So if you're interested in beginning or continuing your self-care journey, I can help you with that. You just go to findsally.com and you can get a 20-minute free discovery call. And also if you sign up to come into what I call my studio audience for my Rockstar show, will get a free writing journal prompt booklet that you can use to journal in. So I'm excited about that. So thank you.
Awesome. And who's the ideal person to take you up on your free offer?
Moms, grandmoms who have raised their family and have neglected themselves, and now they're looking at maybe an empty nest, and they're at that's part of their life where they're saying, all right, I need to begin taking care of me. And so they're on that next leg of their journey. And those are the women that I typically help.
Awesome. Now, what I want to, the last question we're going to have, because we got like 5 minutes and 5 minutes exactly seconds, 5 minutes exactly seconds. So what I want to know is on your entrepreneurial journey, what has been your greatest reward?
That's hard.
By the way, I don't tell them any of the questions ahead of time, because I don't know them. I just came up with that question right now.
There's been so many. I think the biggest thing was my very first book, was the One Habit for Entrepreneurial Success. And I'll just tell you quickly, I was sitting in the living room during COVID, and I'm friends on Facebook with Forbes Riley. I had known her just through home shopping because I had bought a spin gym and I thought she was pretty cool. And so I friended her on Facebook and was like, she's never going to friend me, accept this friendship. And, 30 minutes later, she accepted me. And so I reached out to her and told her how much I loved the spin gym, and her and I had a conversation, and this was like 8-9 years ago. And so we've been Facebook friends, and she came out and during COVID, and it was during this time when I was saying, okay, I need to start getting myself out there and doing stuff. And she was offering to author a page in her upcoming book. And so I took her up on the offer, and I'm so glad I did, because that's opened a whole new world to me. So, that one of my things would be just get out and do it, even if it's something you're afraid of. And actually that was my chapter in the One Habit book, was just do it afraid. If something scares you, do it anyway. So yeah, that was, and I think that was the biggest thing that I'm proud of, is that I took that shot, and that's because of that, everything else has fallen into place.
Yeah, it's because you said yes, right? You said yes to something something that might have scared you or not, but you said yes to something different, and that gets you the different results. So congratulations on that. That's fantastic. I love it. I met you because of that journey as well. So
Yeah.
yep. So it's been amazing. So next up, Amy Lee, you want to share with us what has been like your biggest success that you've had in your entrepreneurial career?
I think, gosh, doing it for one thing, doing it, showing, my kids and my parents and my sister and, my family that I can do it, helping people create families, that would not have had families other ways. But I'm most proud of helping heal women, because healed women heal everyone around them. And it's my small way of, helping heal the world.
Yeah, that's fabulous. I love that. So what'd you say? You said healed women
heal
heal
everyone
the
around
world.
them.
Oh, everyone around them. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. It's so true, right? Because when our whether it's our mind or our body is trashed, it's really hard for us to show up in the full glory of who we are and what we're really all about. So,
Yeah.
having that healing and being in that position of, really being able to show up as ourselves, I think is ideal for us to be able to live our best life as well. So with that said, oh my gosh, okay, so go get Sally's journal and her free discovery call at findsally.com, and then get that 20-minute discovery call with Amy Lee, which is going to turn into a 30-minute discovery call. Go to her Soul Healing Body wellnesscenter.com. You request a 20-minute discovery call. I love it. Awesome. Well, I want to thank you ladies for being here, and look at that. Oh, let me refresh my screen one more time. Let's see if anything's
Thank
changed.
you,
No, thank you. We're still in number 2, but we're going to hit number 1 soon. Let's do it. Let's get out there, push it hard, Let's make it happen. Everybody, thank you so much for stopping by today and tuning into these interviews, these incredible entrepreneurs who are making a positive impact on the planet. The Fearless Entrepreneurs, go get it at thefearlessentrepreneurs.com and help us. We're going to become a #1 best-selling book in just a few minutes. I can feel it. And have a great day, and I'll see you soon. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.